raced back inside his own 10. They have outkicked the coverage a little bit. Jackson with an alleyway. He's out across the 40. Midfield inside the 30, and there he goes to the house. Jaquan Jackson, 90 yards on the punt return.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
A deserving run, Q. McClellan in the open space, taking it, cribbing it, touchdown. 76 yards and a burst across the Dallas grass.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Standing to the right is Deuce Vaughn. Snap comes back to Howard, handed off to Deuce. Cuts it back, got running room, 40. On his feet to the 30. Here goes Deuce Vaughn down the left-hand sideline, 20, 10. And dives for the pylon. Does he get there? He does. That's a 47-yard sprint for Deuce Vaughn.
Sikkim 365 Radio is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
2nd and 1. Breaking tackles. There he goes again. Jalen Hyatt back in the checkerboards.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
Stroud delivers deep down the field. It's caught. Fleming. And a walk-in touchdown, Buckeyes. 79 yards.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And here we go on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. It opened up earlier today overnight, a pretty good storm that came through a lot of central Texas and knocked some things over. But I saw a big 18-wheeler on its side, I think on I-35, with a cut in with one of the TV stations, KWTX, in fact, it was. But it's beautiful right now, absolutely gorgeous fall, and almost still a little bit of tint of warmth outside. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. Garrett Ross is here. Emery Winter is here. Jacob Wilson was here. He'll be back. And, of course, Jack McKenzie, Levi Caraway. I had a chance today. Today was the Baylor Waco, City of Waco, what they call the tip-off luncheon, which is when they get coaches from both Baylor University and also from McLennan Community College, and McLennan College, and they talk in front of hundreds of people. This used to be at the Farrell Center. Now it's at the Baylor Club. And Craig showed me this yesterday. Brett Yormark, Big 12 commissioner, was in town to be the guest speaker. He also was in town because there was, I believe, and we'll have Mac Rhodes today at 4:20, there might have been a Big 12 conference call, so to speak, and he happened to do it at Baylor. And then I had a chance before the luncheon to sit down and visit with him for 5 or 6 minutes on a lot of things when it comes to TV, et cetera. But, you know, Paul, you were able to listen to it. He wasn't as emphatic about that timeline a week ago that in the next couple of weeks they might have a deal. He kind of explained that. He seemed to be in total, command of what he was discussing, and we'll run that here for you here before the end of the first segment.
I would say the repeating message I've heard from him about the Big 12 is the biggest thing they need is not just necessarily a media partnership extension, is better messaging, better branding, better awareness, building a national brand, because they very much built a very, very regional brand from 1996 till now. They did that. So if you're in Big 12 country, you know what the league is, and you know that it's pretty good. Outside of it, they kind of allowed the rest of the country to tell them who they are, or at least frame that. And that's something that marketing matters. It really does. It's a silly thing that, you have to rely on that, but not everybody's going to watch every game. They need to think of your conference and think of something. And for the Big 12, unlike the SEC, which has earned it, or the Big 10, which has a bunch of alumni, but more alumni than everybody else, but their marketing was better. So even in the down years, you thought, well, the SEC, it's good. Their thing is it just means more. No, it doesn't. It just means exactly the same. But they got you remembering it. When you sneeze and you pick up a Kleenex. You know why you say Kleenex? It's not always a Kleenex, but Kleenex worked on the branding, so you always say Kleenex.
Yeah, I mean, when we were at Big 12 Media Days, I asked him straight up, like, how do you relate to Iowa? Like, how do you, if you walk into Ames, Iowa, as this slick New York guy, like, how does that play? You know, as much as do you relate in any way to where you, as a slick New Yorker who's been pitching, the Nets and glossy Barclays Center and Jay-Z ownership and, all of these different things, big stars on the court. Like, how do you pitch Ames, Iowa? How do you pitch Manhattan, Kansas and their brands? And, I don't think he initially kind of knew where I was coming from at first, but I think he got around to it. And basically you go out and you market yourself and you tell everybody who you are. And that's what he's doing right now, or attempting to do at least. And I think it comes at a good time where the conference is ultra competitive. I think it comes at a good time in terms of the fact that Oklahoma and Texas could still be around for a couple more years. So you're not, having to flip a switch right away. You've got a little bit of time to breathe and perhaps even negotiate something with them along the way. But they're not going anywhere right now is the point. And so you've got, some things in your favor that you can still utilize, but, eventually build off of and to build into whatever this new thing is going to be. And he's obviously been very aggressive. He's, been very intentional with the media and comments that he's made. He's been, very intentional in going from campus to campus. I thought that was a smart idea that maybe seems like a no-brainer, but I don't think necessarily everybody would have gone and toured every campus and met every person and, done that whole routine like he did. So I think that was good to kind of see what he's working with. And, I'm very interested to hear more from him. Like, when he talks, I'm curious to know. I don't believe everything that he says, but I'm at least curious to know what he's saying, because I know it's coming from somewhere where it's been thought about before it's come out of his mouth, so to speak. And I did see there was, in regards to the TV deals, John Wilner had out there just a little while ago that there's more signs pointing towards the Amazon deal with the pack. And so I guess they'd be ESPN and Amazon or whatever. He doesn't have any firm details, just saying that the signs are still pointing in that direction. And we know the Big 12's lined up, it looks like, with ESPN Fox. So some of that's starting to settle itself or settle down. And I got to say, I don't know how Pac-12 fans feel about their leadership, but I think the majority of Big 12 fans, the ones that are going to, matter after the next couple of years, are, in line and believing that Brett Yormark's got them on, heading in a good direction right now. So we'll see.
We appreciate, thanks to Bob Burda, Big 12, handles all of what goes on. Of course, he's the main guy who also was able to help us, along with Lauren Smith. They were in a Big 12 conference call and had a chance to get Brett Yormark before the tip-off luncheon. And we'll hear from him in just a second. I want to tease it too much. The first question I ask him is, are you going to reach, or you think you're going to hit that timeline of what you said a week ago about within the next couple of weeks there could be an announcement? And I thought, based on what how he paused, is maybe no. I'm not saying no, but that's coming up. And I asked him about what would be the tie-ups or what would be disappointing, and also about the conference overall. But he constantly was hammering away the one thing he's done, which he had a little bit of that relationship with Fox and ESPN anyway, is the time he's been able to spend with them. I will tell you this. I asked him about the timeline, the years, because we've asked that question, and we'll have that for you here in just a moment. A couple of notes, though, we will get to before Brett Yormark. The A&M football team is, of course, in a free fall. They're 3-4. They've lost 3 in a row. They lost to South Carolina. They've lost 3 offensive linemen. We kind of hinted at that yesterday. And then the story also that late yesterday, the story came out. Billy Luigi initially of Texags had this, but freshman Denver Harris, defensive back Denver Harris, receiver Chris Marshall, and offensive lineman P.J. Williams, according to reports, have been suspended. Now, I don't know if it's for a game, if it's for multiple games, if it's for the rest of the year. But, again, Texags reported this late yesterday. Denver Harris and Chris Marshall and P.J. Williams.
Denver Harris, second time he's gotten it.
He was the trouble. One, I think, yes.
A part of the one driving through the parking garage like a moron. Yeah. And I don't know what else his suspension entails, but that right there was a major red flag. I mean, for anybody who saw that video, I get kids being kids and all that, but that's not what this was. That was just stupidity.
Reckless.
Yeah, it's reckless stupidity. So to see his name pop up, I wasn't exactly shocked. Based just simply on that video. And I don't think anybody's shocked that A&M's got roster issues given just what we've seen so far. I mean, was anybody surprised to see that announcement? Like, I mean, maybe if there would have been a name on there that could have been surprising to you, but just in general, the Aggies having problems and kind of needing to reboot the roster a little bit, did that come as any surprise? No, not at all. There's clearly not a great culture there right now, and there's clearly some things that are not aligned real well. And I think that starts at the top with Jimbo. He's got some serious things he needs to take care of, man. I mean, this isn't as simple as just going into the offseason and landing a 5-star quarterback and
I got it. Go ahead.
So this isn't as simple as going to the offseason and landing a 5-star quarterback and, just everything's fixed all of a sudden. This isn't just going and getting a number 1 recruiting class and things are fixed all of a sudden. They just got that, and things are worse than they've ever been under him. So he's got some stuff to figure out, like I said, and maybe this is a step towards that, is getting some of those bad apples. And I don't know what these guys did, so I don't want to paint too much of a picture. But clearly, if you're getting suspended for an indeterminate amount of time, then you're doing something wrong. So, maybe this is ultimately good. I mean, Liucci in his tweet said, maybe this is long overdue, is basically what he said in so many words. And I could see that. I could see that based on the way they're playing and just the overall vibes that you get from that program right now.
Okay, Paul, you responded, and then let's get to Brett Yormark.
Yeah, I think that Texas A&M as an institution needs to look at who Jimbo is now and who he's been the last, let's say, 7 years. Because when they hired him, they thought they were getting a guy who built the 2013 national champions to one of the deepest and best rosters maybe ever in college football, because that team was really good. Now, there's teams that were better, but it could go toe-to-toe with a lot of them. And he built a great roster at Florida State. He built a great team that won huge games and won the national championship the last year of the BCS. But in the aftermath of that, he and the AD at Florida State got sideways. He and the administration at Florida State got sideways. There was a bad culture in the locker room that happened, and then he left, and went to A&M. And what changed about Jimbo Fisher other than A&M giving him a fresh start and a crap load of money? Not much.
No, he gave him a tens of millions of dollars parachute basically out of Tallahassee.
So he hasn't changed, and the good coaches are the ones that adapt. I said this to you, Smokey, earlier. A&M gave him that extension to keep him maybe out of LSU. LSU went and hired the all-time winningest coach from Notre freaking Dame. Okay, that guy, Brian Kelly, won more games than anybody at Notre Dame. More than Newt Rockne, Lou Holtz, Ara Parseghian. He won more games than all those guys. So the dude can coach. And what does he do? Like Nick Saban does, that dude adapts. And Jimbo Fisher has not adapted, and it's starting to catch up to him.
Well, and it's obviously, you just wonder, and we will have either Owen Buchanan or somebody on here in the next day or two to kind of give us an update of the field, the atmosphere, which right now is not good at Texas A&M, losing that game to South Carolina, now with even more multiple injuries, and the schedule doesn't get much easier.
I know we got to move on, but this is why you can't just NIL your way to a championship. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can't just,
you can't do in free agency in pro sports. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's definitely teams that have gotten close to doing that. It's not like the Chiefs aren't spending any money on their roster. Like, there's definitely some benefits to be had. But if you don't have chemistry, it doesn't matter. Like, if you don't have the right coaching, it doesn't matter. And so they went out and they bragged. They not only threw the bag out there to multiple guys, they bragged about it in so many different ways, right? All offseason by NIL this and all that. Miami, same thing. And now look at them both, where they are. So you can go, like Tennessee did too, and Tennessee's having success, but they clearly have the right culture in place and the right mix of guys, and there's something to be said for that. So, that's not what's going on in College Station right now, and they need to figure out how to get to the Knoxville side of things.
This is 365 Sports, again, every afternoon from 3 until 6. I do want, at some point today, when we have a chance to visit a little bit more about the Texas-Oklahoma State game in Stillwater, I think that's important. Plus, we'll hear from Tim Fitzgerald, who covers Kansas State. What the heck are they doing right now because of the injuries they've had, the battery of injuries at quarterback, and it doesn't get any easier. They have Oklahoma State next on their schedule. Break here, then Brett Yormark?
Sure.
Okay, let's break right here. When we come back,
here's a little teaser, another little note. Big Ten football schedule for next year will come out tomorrow.
5 or 6 different minutes with Brett Yormark. That's a great tease. 5 or 6 minutes one-on-one with Commissioner Brett Yormark right here on 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza Jack isn't here today, so I think we might order a couple of them, just because we're mean to Jack. Marco's Pizza with 5 locations in Central Texas, including Belle Meade, China Spring, Robinson, Woodway, and also in Hewitt. There was once maybe 1, and now there are 5, and that's happened very, very quickly, that Marco's Pizza has come in and put their footprint into the Central Texas area. Bob Mock is the owner. He's a tremendous supporter of local sports, of a lot of things when it comes to athletics. And by the way, on the side, he learned how to get himself in shape enough to go run a triathlon. I think he's crazy. He did it. Good for him. Bob Mock, the owner of Marco's Pizza, Marcos.com. You have several different offers and items and discounts online at Marcos.com. Pizza lovers get it.
Make a winning drive to Genco and refinance your vehicle. Every loan can skip monthly payments for 90 days with rates as low as 3.75% APR for 48 months. Right now is the time to make a play. At Genco, we save you money by helping you pay less for your car. Every loan scores no payments for 90 days. Then have a chance to win 3 more months of no payments. Apply online today for an additional discount of 0.15% off our already low rates. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. For more information, go to GencoFCU.org. Member NCUA.
If you're out looking for a great selection of new cars and trucks, then shop Allen Samuels in Waco. We have some of the best deals in Central Texas that will have you driving home in style, like a new 2022 Dodge Challenger or Charger. Don't settle for anything less than high-quality vehicles from a dealership with a hometown feel. Allen Samuels in Waco is the place to shop for Dodge Challenger and Charger. Stop by today or browse online at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It's football and tailgate season. If you want product for the grill or smoker, charcoal, seasonings, marinades, sauces, Waco Custom Marketplace is your home to help prep, cook, and enjoy your food. Tailgate must-like brisket, tri-tip, fresh-made burgers, sausage, chicken wings, and if you want steaks, call in your order and pick them up. Bacon wrap fillets or any kind of ribeyes. USDA Select, Choice, and Prime that melt in your mouth. House-made sausage and jerky. Also, Waco Custom Marketplace, a one-stop shop for tailgating, barbecue, cook-offs, and family get-togethers, fundraisers with fair prices to you, the customer. A bakery with fresh baked bread and kolaches. There's cold beer, wine, and soft drinks. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. A cut above the rest. Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Tim Fitzgerald on Kansas State and who they are as they try to get ready for Oklahoma State with the issues I just saw a note about Adrian Martinez's status may not even be known until, who knows, Thursday, maybe game time.
He's not practicing at the moment.
Yeah.
So
we'll have that with Tim Fitzgerald coming up in about 30 minutes. Mac Rhodes, Baylor Director of Athletics, on the conference call, the Big 12 meetings conference call at 4:20, but earlier today had a chance before he spoke at the tip-off luncheon at Baylor at McLean Stadium to visit with Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark. Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark with me, David Smoak on Sikkim 365 Radio. Man, you're nonstop. This is you, right?
Hey, this is me. I mean, I'm all about energy and trying to push the ball forward, and we're off to a great start.
You, about a week ago, said that there could be a chance in the next couple of weeks that something is decided when it comes to television, network, extension, whatever. You feel even better about that now?
It's a work in progress, but I'm feeling very optimistic. I think there's an opportunity to get something done. Both ESPN and Fox have been very engaged. That being said, at the end, if we feel that it's in our best interest as a conference to pause and wait 16 months, we have the option to do that. Don't forget, this was all about accelerating those conversations. And everyone's been fantastic. You know, the process has been great. But the fallback is, you know what, let's wait it out. I would prefer to go early. I think gaining stability and clarity for our schools is paramount right now. I think it would be a validation of where this conference is going. It would credentialize our vision. But if we have to wait because we think we're better situated in 16 months from now, then that's what we'll do. Would it be a disappointment if you don't get it done early? No, not really. I mean, for me personally, it's been great to spend as much time as I have with both ESPN and Fox to better understand how they define partnership, not only now but in the future. So I take that as a great, learning opportunity for me personally. So it wouldn't be disappointing at all, in fact. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I think over the course of the next, hopefully a couple of weeks, we'll know more. What would be the reason you don't? Is it because of just pure numbers? Yeah, I think it comes down to economics. I think it just comes down to economics. But as I've also said, it's not just about the economics, although they're a big driver. I want a real partnership. Given where we're going with the Big 12 as we want to contemporize and build our business and our brand and become more national, we need strategic partners that want to help in that effort. So a lot of the conversation that I've had with ESPN and Fox is how can you be part of that process in building the Big 12, in amplifying and elevating everything we do. So as much as the economics have been a part of the conversation, so has that. Would it be a short-term type of deal if you do it, or is this going to be one that when you say of an extension, it goes to 24, 25? Would it be 2-3 years, or could it be that 5 to 7 years? It would be enough term, to get the work done that we need. So we haven't discussed and honed in on the years just yet, but I would think all the parties would want it to be meaningful enough so that some of the work that needs to be done as we want to elevate and build the brands of our member institutions, our conference, that we have enough time to do that. Well, my last thing then is that when you took over compared to where you are now, since early July to where you are now, do you feel better, even better than you did when you walked in the door? Not just because of the information or the insight. Do you feel better about the conference than you even did? 100%. I think the narrative is changing. I came on board and we've done a lot of work in my first, 80 days. We've reorganized the conference. We've brought in some meaningful talent, both new talent and talent that would support the existing infrastructure. We've painted our vision out there publicly. We know where we want to go. I've had a chance to meet with all the key stakeholders, spend time on all the different campuses. We've obviously been in meaningful conversations with our media partners. We've hired Endeavor to help us with our commercial strategy, as well as, our multimedia rights strategy. We've hired a new agency, Translation, to help us with our creative as we build out, what the new Big 12 would look like with the 4 new member institutions coming in July. We've gotten a lot of things done, and I think it's just the beginning, and I'm more energized now than I've ever been. If you don't mind, if in fact you get something done soon, would that open the door for additive, as you've discussed, or would that really have anything to do with anybody else coming in? Well, as I've said all along, we do want to expand our geographic footprint. As we aspire to go national, having fans and institutions from coast to coast would make sense. If it's additive, if it creates value, having the stability of our media partners beyond the current term, I think affords us the opportunity to move in that direction, but only if it's right for all parties involved.
Do you think Fox and ESPN have a better value? They feel better about the conference now?
100%. I mean, just look at where we've been all year in football. I mean, we've arguably have the most exciting conference in America, the deepest conference in America. We're exciting, week in and week out. The games, the win margin is very narrow. We lead the country in total points scored, total yardage. We play an up-tempo style that's very engaging for fans. They love our product. And, this year has been one of the best we've had in years.
Brett, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brett
All right,
Yormark,
that's from
Big 12
earlier today,
on 360.
right before the tip-off luncheon, Brett Yormark, and really a couple of things that he said that jumped out at me as I'm sitting there talking to him. It's not so much just about the money. It's just about the money, but they need, and they really have never had, truly, with the teams that are remaining, when Texas and Oklahoma leave for the powerful SEC. But they need partners, and he mentioned the strategic partners. They've always had, like you said, it's others dictating who they are to them, to the Big 12. They need somebody, if they're going to be tied into a contract, whether it's 3 years or 7 years or whatever, that truly have the back of the conference, and that's not always been the case, at least that people have felt.
I can't figure out why ESPN, and maybe it's just because they didn't have the right people in place at the time, but ESPN and Fox, if ESPN is willing to go all out to promote the SEC network like they are, and the SEC like they are, why would they not be willing to spend those resources on all the teams that they have? Because it's still a television show they have to promote, right? It would be silly if a network had, 4 shows on a Thursday night and they said, well, one of them's really good, but we're not going to try to promote the other ones. I mean, even the ones that aren't good, if you look at a sitcom block, if there's one really good one and 3 average shows around it, what do they say? America's favorite new comedy. Well, that's a general statement. Well, why are they not doing that for the Big 12? Why are they not doing it for the ACC? Because they're really not. And I know that maybe it can be a little bit, they don't want to seem fraudulent by saying the ACC is great, and for the last few years it's just pretty much been Clemson. But even still, why are they not hitting it so hard to promote the good games that they have? And maybe it's just because of the end result. The SEC has wound up, winning more national titles than everybody, but even still, it should be part of the whole thing to promote it.
I don't know, Paul. I mean, why is Feinbaum like the voice of college football, so to speak, in in their universe? I mean, he does certainly speak for the majority of the nation. I just think there's reasons that we're probably not aware that make sense to them, but regardless of how whoever is marketed, it's good to have somebody in charge of the Big 12 that's got a vision and got something cooking, whether that's, going to be done here pretty soon or if that's down the line. This is kind of like where I was last week when these rumors popped up about them signing a deal. I was like, well, why so fast? Like, that's what I just kept asking. And like, well, if you got a deal, you got to, and I got that, but I don't know. It just seemed very quick and sort of out of nowhere to me. And now to hear him kind of tapping the brakes a little bit on that, because that's what I consider what we just heard there. That makes more sense, especially when you hear him say, well, like 26 months down the line is when they're really supposed to be, or 16 months. So, I mean, it's like well over a year away. And I get you got to lay the groundwork before all of that, but that just seemed awfully early to have a deal kicking in already for me.
Only if, like he said as well, he kind of clarified that. They're not going to just sign it to be able to say they have 2 or 3 years. It has to be a win-win for both.
But that wasn't the messaging last week.
No.
It was just like they were signing a new deal. And so my whole thing was like, okay, well, I hope they're getting more money at least, or because otherwise, why would you just do that just to do that? And then, the security part of it makes sense, but ACC's got a lot of security right now. They don't exactly love it. They like it, but they would love some other aspects to just having the long-term security. They almost have too much security in the ACC right now. So, good to hear him with some updated comments. Clearly, there could could not be a deal in the foreseeable future. As I mentioned earlier, Wilner's reporting that Amazon and the Pac-12 it appears that they're heading in that direction. There's a lot of big shoes that need to drop to kind of give us, the true look at what this landscape's going to be. But it seems that, both have suitors, and that's good, and that's what you would expect. And, how all that shakes out in the wash, that's the part that I'm just going to sit back and patiently await, because right now I feel like we're just getting kind of the PR points in so many ways from, the commissioners having to say what they have to say.
One of the other things he mentioned, which I was a little surprised at, but until you figure out the money, the next thing you want to look at are the years. Said they haven't really discussed that yet, because if you look at an extension, it depends. If you're a player in the NFL and you're about to become a free agent and a team renegotiates your deal and you get a bonus, and then what they do is they lessen your hit on the cap for the next 2 or 3 years, eventually, whether it's 5 years or whatever, but you do get an extension. The longer the extension really is more team-friendly, am I right, than it is player-friendly, because the team can walk away from you. They're going to pay you the bonus money, but they can walk away from you and not have to get hit with a lot of salary cap money. But in the Big 12's case, the fact they have not discussed years, at least that's what Mr. Yarmark said, was interesting to me. I thought that maybe he would say that, he wasn't going to say the exact number of years, but that was of interest to me. The strategic partners, not just about the money, which it is, and then they haven't quite discussed the years yet. And they are, again, as he's mentioned many times, the geographic footprint is important to him.
And let's face it, if they haven't discussed years, they're nowhere close on a deal. Like if they haven't discussed years. So he's doing his PR part. He's selling the brand. He's selling the conference. He's selling interest. He certainly generated some last week. I don't have any doubts that ESPN and Fox probably have interest. I mean, the Big 12's putting up good ratings numbers. They're putting on good games. They have good teams. So I have no doubt that there's going to be interest. But, yeah, I don't think we're as close as maybe last week it appeared to be. But then again, who knows? Maybe that's just something that seems, really simply agreed upon once they get in a room together and figure it out. But, yeah, it looks like we're still going to be waiting for a little while.
I think that these things can happen pretty quickly, though, when you get that the caveat that both sides kind of want, which is probably the overall money. Then you go, okay, is it a 5-year deal? Is it a 7-year deal? Is it a 10-year deal?
Might be a 3-year deal. We don't know that.
I doubt it'd be that, because you don't want to do this again.
And that's and we'll ask Mac this when we have him at 420. Really, is it one of those things that you can have some deep discussions, conference calls, in person, whatever it might be, or both, and then there may be 2 or 3 text messages or a call or two, and you probably can, hack away at about 60% of what is really already been discussed. You don't need to meet just to discuss what you've already agreed upon. You meet to try to add to whatever you're going to do to get it done, years, dollars, whatever in between. All right, we'll have Mac again, Mike Rhodes at 420 on his thoughts of what Brett Yormark told us, and also what he's telling Mac Rhodes and everyone else within the Big 12. You were mentioning the Big 12 schedule, or the Big 10 schedule is going to be released for next year. Is that right? You'll come back with that. We'll do that. We'll have Tim Fitzgerald today at around 3:45 on K-State with their quarterback issue. This is 365 Sports. The city of Woodway, right around the corner. Right around the corner, Halloween. Paul's absolute favorite, and he even calls it a holiday. It's October 29th. It is Sunday? Cops and Kids Halloween Drive-Thru. Cops and Kids Halloween Drive-Thru is this Sunday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is free. There's no cost to be involved. And it will be at the Woodway Activity Park. Woodway, of course, just in the southwest part of the city of Waco, right there, also adjoined by the hip off of I-35, Hewitt and Woodway. The city of Woodway with hotels, 7 of them. If you try to come to Waco for any kind of tourism, I was driving one time a little bit earlier today, one through the downtown Waco, and they got some streets blocked off with construction, but a lot of them because of what's going on at the silos with Chip and Joanna in Magnolia. So if you're looking for a place and you can't find a hotel close to downtown Waco, Woodway's not that far away. DiscoverWoodway.com.
The wait is over. Richard Carr GMC has the trucks. 2022 GMC Sierras have hit the lot, and they're waiting for you. Sierra trucks offer best-in-class towing, strong steel beds, multi-pro tailgates, and advanced features that make driving a Sierra second to none. Trucks are waiting for you to test drive now. So call now, log in now, or get here now and drive your next truck today at Richard Carr.
Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Howdy, Chet Garner here, professional guide, searching for bears in the wild. But not just any bears, oh no, a particular kind. With hundreds of thousands roaming freely in the wild, yet still hard to spot unless you know the signs. There they are, Baylor bears. If you're a bear enthusiast or even a bear yourself, join me and let's find some bears in the wild.
Join the expedition at baylor.edu/alumni.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Of course, over the next 4 days, we break down the Big 12, what the games mean, who, what, where, when, why, how. We did that a little bit yesterday. We'll do it again today. In a minute, Tim Fitzgerald, in about 10 minutes on Kansas State as they try to deal with their quarterback situation. And they're not the only ones. Texas Tech, of course, is on their third quarterback of the year. But we'll get into that. Also, we'll break down the top 25, the bangers, coming up this weekend. Craig's got a note about the Big Ten is about to or will be releasing their schedule. I had a question for all of us that's on the chat from Jerry Chatham. Did Joey McGuire leave Baylor with a chip on his shoulder? Yes and no. Yes, because he wanted the job and he was interviewed for the job and wanted the job at Baylor when they hired Dave Aranda. I remember I was actually in the H-E-B parking lot on 19th Street in Waco when I got a text from him and he said, let's go. And that meant from Joey McGuire that he was going to stay at Baylor. It was unknown if he would, and don't blame him. He stayed. He was a part of the team in 2009 20. And then, of course, about midway through the 2021 season, everything started the speculation with Texas Tech. He took the job and was gone. Does he have a chip on his shoulder? Hell yeah, he does. But he also, I thought, handled himself up until the time he left about as well as he can as far as behind the scenes and as a coach.
Yeah, I think he did too. I just hated the timing of it. I mean, I hated the timing of it given what happened with TCU right in that same ballpark. I mean, that was a horrific loss that was going on right at the same time he was, on his way out. And there was just kind of a low point there for a split second, and then he was gone, and they went on a run. And then they didn't stop and look back at all. And, I think that helped to heal any minor wounds there might have been from him leaving. And I think as time's gone on, you've understood why. I mean, I think the bigger ramifications just from his decision will be across college football. And I think we're seeing that already with the coaching carousels and how early those are opening up. And it will be curious to see if any other candidates leave like he did to get a head start on where they are. Yeah, I mean, I think that was all kind of a part of the deal and understandable to an extent. And, Aranda certainly didn't seem all that fazed by it. Eventually, but initially he did. Initially he seemed pretty,
Dave Aranda?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it hurt him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
And so, that was kind of, a tough little, turn of events. And luckily for Baylor, like they woke up and they went on that run, like I said, and it worked out for everybody in the long run. But yeah, absolutely, Joey McGuire's got a chip on his shoulder simply because he wanted to be in the spot that Dave Aranda was in. He wanted to be the head coach at Baylor, and that's just facts. I mean, that's just 100% facts. Got his opportunity, and the thing is that opportunity's in the Big 12. And who just won the Big 12? Yep. And who does he know very well? So, like, I 1,000% believe that, Saturday night, blackout, Patrick Mahomes is being inducted into the Hall of Fame, like all of these things, that would be a big enough deal anyways. But I think also the fact that it's Baylor, and that's the reigning champ, and he knows what they're about, and he knows the fact that those schools are awfully similar as far as, their place in history and kind of like their opportunities that are there right now for them and the changing of the guard in the conference. I think this is an important game for a multitude of reasons, and absolutely he's got a chip on his shoulder. Because not only does he want to prove that he's the guy that he believes he is as a head coach, but also because Tech wants to take Baylor's spot.
Well, but he also wants to maybe say, hey, you got the wrong guy.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
I don't think it comes across as bitterness. I don't think it's bitterness. I just think it's
I think more the bitterness seems to be from some of the other staff that joined.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I don't think very much so. That's a different story.
I don't think Joe. Like, one thing I know about Joe McGuire is he's not a person who could be bitter. I don't think it's productive for a guy to be that enthusiastic and have bitterness.
It would almost be like watching, and I'm not trying to compare the two, but it would almost be the positivity of watching Scott Ruby get bitter.
Yeah, you can't be bitter, but it is, something to prove.
That would be depressing.
Yeah, but it is something to prove, right? So, yeah, it's like, okay, you skipped past me over, and maybe I wasn't ready, but I'm here to show you that 2 years later, I am ready.
Absolutely, I believe that's the case.
Yeah, anyone who's been overlooked for a job. Paul, you had it happen when I arrived in Waco. I remember I was getting up for a TV job in Tyler, and I was basically all but told it was mine for a new station because the general manager was the general manager of where I was, and we had a pretty good relationship. And then I got the call, and it broke my heart that they were going with somebody else. It hurt, and it probably is something that probably fueled me the rest of my career, and that was back like in 1986 or 1987.
I was really bitter. I was just pissed I wasn't going to get a raise. But, I mean, that didn't happen anyway the whole time I worked for that clown. So, I mean, I guess
you were lucky to be there.
I was very.
Hey, Cole put a couple of. I want to throw we go to the Big Ten schedule because Tim's going to probably be calling you, Paul.
You've already hyped it up a little bit too much, honestly. That's why I was trying to insert it in there at the end. It's just that the new Big 10 schedule for 2023 will be coming out apparently sometime tomorrow, I believe is what I said a few minutes ago. This will not obviously be the big USC, UCLA introduction just yet because that's going to be in 2024. But they are setting the table for what 2023 is going to look like. So we'll be getting that schedule tomorrow. So that was just a little note of interest, not so much breaking news type of a thing. But I do think, circling back to Joey, that I do think that there is definitely a level of bitterness and some angst, some chip on the shoulder from other former staff members for whatever reasons. And, I think that'll, be a side story because, most people don't even know or care or what have you. But the Joey thing, I think that's all respectful, and that's, a motivation for him to show that he's the guy. And for Dave Aranda, he won't say it, and he definitely avoided any talk about it yesterday. He just very much went around the Joey McGuire question like it was nothing. But he's got to, in his heart. He'll never say it, I wouldn't think, but Dave Aranda's got to know how big this game is, too, for his ball
absolutely.
club.
And he made the comment about Joey and that staff. By the way, two of Joey McGuire's best friends as far as in the coaching business is the quarterback's coach and Sean Bell, and also the high school liaison coach and David Wetzel, who helped Matt Rule and company, along with Joey and others, build them from where they were up until they played for the Big 12 championship. And then eventually Joey took the job at Texas Tech. I know I see a lot of sniping on the message boards and all that. I believe I'm pretty good at reading people, and I think Joey legitimately loves what Baylor can do. But, yeah, he wants to beat the hell out of them on Saturday night in Lubbock. Tim Fitzgerald joins us. GoPowerCat.com joins us on 365 Sports. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you with Paul Craig and David Smoak. So is the quarterback room a mess, or is this going to kind of calm as the week goes?
Well, after just hearing Chris Kleiman talk, I'll be honest, maybe it's gamesmanship, but I'm going to be surprised if Adrian Martinez is good to go. He might be available, but I think they need to get him healed up. Now, keep in mind, this was an injury he suffered at Iowa State. We noticed when he came into the postgame at Iowa State, he was walking with a stiff right knee. He wasn't bending that. He was straight-legged, and I saw him leave the stadium on Saturday with a similar kind of hobble. So he's got a knee issue. It's not structural. I'm guessing it's a bruised kneecap, so the kneecap isn't tracking, so it locks up on him. And they had 2 weeks to get him healthy. He was healthy. On the first play of the game, he bangs it again, and out he goes. I think he's going to need more time. I think he'd be available if something goes wrong with Will Howard. But if I'm Oklahoma State, I'd expect to see Will Howard. But I think Coach Gundy's exactly right. He's going to prepare for either one of them because he could see either one.
So Will Howard is okay, or will he be a little bit limited because he got banged up the other day too?
Yeah. We think it's a left shoulder from, kind of getting a full weight landing on him when he ran the ball. And I think he was fine. He came back in, of course, at TCU, was braced up. But I think he'll be good to go. I mean, I'm sure that shoulder still hurts, but at least it's not his throwing arm.
So, Tim, that was a tough watch, I would imagine, for all the Wildcats fans out there. I mean, getting off to a good start and then just quarterback, injury after quarterback injury. Gosh, what were just kind of your thoughts, your prevailing thoughts coming out of that game, and what this means not only in the present for Kansas State, but what also this could mean moving forward?
Well, my immediate thoughts were Will Howard played the best football he's ever played at Kansas State. That's the guy who didn't play a whole lot last year and honestly didn't look very good last year when he did come in. They've been determined to get a red shirt on him. That may not be possible if Adrian Martinez's injury lingers, but this was the first game he played in. We expected to hear that he'd been preparing for this game in practice because he looked so sharp, but no, he didn't take any more snaps than usual. Adrian Martinez was expected to be full go. And while we focus on quarterback, Deuce Vaughn only had 12 carries. That wasn't out of neglect. He, too, is banged up. See, like Dike Uzama, he's banged up and played. He comes out basically on anything second down or if it's short yardage, he goes back into pass rush. Daniel Green, all-conference preseason linebacker, probably won't play. We're not sure the nature of his injury, but it might be concussion. You can go down the list, starting tight end Ben Sinnott, injured an elbow. We don't know that he'll play. There were 7 or 8 significant injuries in that game, none of them season-ending, but Julius Brent, all-conference cornerback, pulled a hamstring, and we don't know what his situation is. So it wasn't just a number of injuries, it was who was injured, that K-State was just riddled with injuries by the end of the game, and yet they hung tough, and I think that's a positive sign because, man, I tell you what, the 3 linebackers they had to field at the end were second, and third string, and it shows.
You know, we discussed Oklahoma State and their win against Texas quite a bit yesterday, and I also listened to Mike Gundy's post game and listened to Chris Kleiman, and it seemed like I try to do that more now than maybe before. Oklahoma State's got they got a battery of injuries. Gundy mentioned in his press conference they had 8 players covering a kickoff, I think it was in the second half, who had never played a down in college football because of some of the depth that they had been hit because of some of the injuries they were dealing with as well.
It's incredible. I mean, and I'll just point out that both of these teams, you know, we're talking about injuries coming out of games or TCU. They're incredibly physical. You know, you can note that no starting quarterback has been healthy coming out of the game against TCU. And for K-State, that's the top 2 quarterbacks too. So they're really physical, and Oklahoma State's known for being physical. So, you know, hopefully Kansas State can avoid more injuries because it's Texas the week after, and you better come and be ready for that. And then, oh, by the way, you got to go to Baylor. This conference is relentless.
Yeah, it is. When Howard came in and they produced a 28-10 lead, were you almost with jaw dropped when you saw that?
Yeah, I was. And I love Will Howard. He is a tremendous young man, but he has really struggled at times to play the way that they say he plays in practice. They've always been saying that Will Howard is really good in practice. And then he'd get into the game, and maybe it was just too many bright lights, too fast for him. But it finally looked like the game slowed down for him. He threw the ball so well. And his receivers competed for the ball. They put the ball in positions, in spots that they haven't with Adrian Martinez all year. It was a completely different passing game than what we've seen so far. I was intrigued by it. You know, if Will can play at that level, you know, consistently going forward, Kansas State's going to be a problem for people. But it also takes away in your run game when you don't have Adrian out there. Will can run the ball, but he's not Adrian Martinez. He doesn't give you that dynamic 1-2 punch with Deuce Vaughn that they have with him in the game. So that certainly detracts from the offense.
Maybe I zoned out and you already mentioned this. Was there any sort of a timetable on Adrian Martinez?
No. And, you know, with this kind of injury, if it is what I think it is, it just has to heal up. And they thought they had him healed up. And, you know, it's like when you have something injured, the first person that comes up to talk to you, pats you right on your shoulder or whatever it is. That's exactly what happened. He went down on the first play of the game and got tackled, and there went the knee. He tried to play through it and had a really bad errant pass on third down, and that was it. We thought he'd come back because the injury had been healed up pretty well, but, boy, he couldn't go. He couldn't go at all.
It doesn't appear to be structural, but is it like a bone bruise?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
When that kneecap gets bruised, it gets swelling under it. The kneecap will track. It catches, it locks, it's irritating, it is painful. Like I said, I've done this injury back in days when I didn't sit in the recliner all day. Yeah, it's not a fun one. It isn't, you know, it's not like it's persistent, ongoing, but boy, it sucks while it's healing up.
Well, Tim, I'm in my 40s now. I can do it sitting in the recliner. I'm pretty sure. But
it happens.
Yeah, how much has Adrian Martinez's presence in a strange way maybe helped Will Howard? Because look, there's nobody in the country who's been through it like Adrian Martinez has.
Yeah, you're right, and you know this defines exactly what kind of kid Will Howard is. You know, he thought he was going to be the starter this year. They went out and found Adrian Martinez to come in and be a one and done type guy. And we get him in post game. We asked about his relationship with Adrian Martinez. This man, I've learned so much from him. I just love the guy. And you know, he's always thinking team first. And in this day and age, that's hard to find from a quarterback. So many quarterbacks now. Oh, I'm not going to be the starter. See ya. And that's not Will Howard. And honestly, that isn't Max Duggan at TCU. And sometimes persistence will pay off. And he's handled everything really well. And I do think he's learned a lot from Adrian Martinez.
Tim, you just mentioned Duggan there, and you were talking about TCU's physicality. I guess those are a couple of takeaways from me, but haven't seen the Horned Frogs up close. I mean, they're in the driver's seat now. What were your impressions, and do you think they're built to maybe, you know, keep going and run through this thing?
They're legit. They really are. They're good. I think after seeing them, they are the best team in the conference, only because when they hit their high gear, it's tough to match. The defense really didn't change anything schematically on K-State between the first and second half. They just amped it up. They just played harder. They did their jobs better. And that made it really hard. K-State was shut out after the second quarter. So it is a really good team, and it takes on Max Duggan's personality and persona. Because I tell you what, guys, K-State hit that guy a lot. In fact, got 2 personal foul penalties, and he played the whole game, and he kept chugging along. And when you got a quarterback that does that sets a big tone for the rest of the team.
Well, Duggan is tougher than nails, and then the running backs, DeMarcado and also Kendry Miller. I mean, you talk about they're wiry, they're strong, they're tough. Yeah. And it's just kind of, as you mentioned off the top, that's kind of the DNA of that team right now. And it's all
they ran it well.
Yeah, the defense gives up some points and was giving up 28 early, but they always seem to kind of. The offense is so explosive, gets it back in. It's so wide open.
You have
Craig.
to kill them. You have to kill them if you have a chance.
I think so. I think because of their big playability, and then that doesn't include even what they do with Darius Davis or Quentin Johnson, the wide receiver, that are also parts of that weaponry as well.
So, Tim, heading into this one, just what are your thoughts, I guess, on, obviously the quarterback position is the big wild card here for the Wildcats, but just your thoughts on what they're walking into this weekend against the Cowboys.
This is a team Chris Kleiman hasn't beaten, and honestly, it's a team that Chris Kleiman hasn't really competed with that much. And the same can be said for Baylor. They've been kind of outshined. I don't have the stat in front of me, but if Will Howard starts this game, this will be at least the 4th year, if not longer, that K-State has started a backup quarterback against Oklahoma State. That's how the schedule's fallen. They're always beaten up at that spot by the time they see the Pokes. This is a huge game, guys. K-State opened the season in conference play with 3 out of 4 on the road, all-night games in hostile environments, and won the first 2, and honestly had a chance to win that number 3. But as you said, Craig, you didn't get the knockout. You had the opportunity there at the end of the first half with another possession. They went 3 and out. TCU scored instead, and that changed the whole game. You got to put them away. So if K-State can be relatively healthy, being at home the next 2 weeks, I think will help the psyche of this team.
Tim, as always, buddy, great to hear from you. Hope you're doing great.
Doing great. Great to hear from you guys. I'll be down there in a few weeks, and I'm going to come take a tour.
I think it's a couple of, I hope so.
Right,
a couple of weeks into November, K-State.
Well,
Baylor's
November.
on the road against Texas Tech and then Oklahoma.
We'll waive the fee that Garrett charges people just for you.
It's like a toll-free, like a toll road.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that because I'll probably make a mess.
Thank you, buddy. Can't wait to see you. Tim Fitzgerald, he covers Kansas State, GoPowerCat.com.
Now, they're in a rough way as far as that sucks for Adrian Martinez, man. He's having such a good year.
And, it was one of those things you just thought that, and we said it a bunch of times, it was Scott Frost and Adrian Martinez were not good for each other. Scott Frost wasn't able to think up an offense that wasn't Adrian, please go save me. It was very reminiscent of the.
Whoa! No, that's okay. Say that again. He wasn't
able to think of an offense that wasn't Adrian, please go save me.
Okay.
Because that's what it was. It was hey, Adrian, go be so athletic that nobody understands it. And then putting that pressure on him made him careless because he's trying to do a million things. It's very reminiscent of the down years the Cowboys had with Tony Romo, where it was like, look, no matter what happens, if we're in this touchdown in the 4th quarter, Romo goes something crazy, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. It's not fair to the quarterback. And now he's got Chris Kleiman, who never in a world would put a game on one guy because that's not how he's built, and can just be this way with Adrian Martinez, and it's worked out wonderfully.
Speaking of Chris Kleiman, where did he coach before he was at K-State?
North Dakota State.
I saw this yesterday when I was looking at, or maybe Sunday. South Dakota State beat North Dakota State over the weekend. It was a close game, like 23-21. And South Dakota State now, number 1 in the country. North Dakota State's right there in the conversation. But that was something that might not have gotten too much attention. Arizona had beaten North Dakota State earlier this year. So that was something at the FCS level that occurred over the weekend. We might just have to dive into South Dakota State at some point.
Well, they're the number 1 team.
Yeah, number 1 in the country. Yeah, great win for them against a team that's dominated that level for pretty much a decade plus. Sam Houston got in it 1 year, and maybe somebody else did, but they have been unbelievable. All right, the 4 o'clock hour, we'll have Mac Rhodes in the second segment. Ready? Come back with more. 365 Sports, the text line, it's waiting for you, 254-339-1122. This is 365 Sports. Thursday morning, 7:15, I'll be at Stonewood Dental for a teeth cleaning. I am on the routine. I've mentioned this before. I was just terrible, negligent when it comes to dental work or going to get teeth cleanings. And when you don't take care of your dental work, and then it's time for you to go and get your teeth cleaned, you're scared to death. Cavities, something wrong with the gums, what's going to happen? So then I'd even avoid that like an idiot. Dr. Steve Childress sat down and continued to discuss with me the health of my dental work, especially at my age, and I've had to go through a lot, including the 2 crowns I had put in about a month or 2 ago. But it's been fantastic to get that fixed. There's still some more work to be done, but Stonewood Dental can help you. Regular teeth cleanings, of course, there's just, they have 5 dentists inside a building that it's like constantly full of energy. The appointment checks and all that, they do a great job. Take it from me, who did not take dental work very seriously, and I am now regretting it. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgan Ford. It's that time of year. It's football season. And BK Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football teams in Texas, right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, led by our leading rusher, the F-150, 45 years in a row. Lock in your best price and rate today by custom ordering your new F-150 at BK Ford. Simple, easy, trusted. Experience better at Bird Colgan Ford.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the City of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
They'll run the speed option. And Drones is in for 6. It started to look like a speed option, then it looked like quarterback power right behind Quaylen Jones.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. This is 365 Sports inside of our amazing studios, just a little bit west of McLean Stadium off the spine of Texas and I-35. We'll have Mac Rhodes here momentarily. Craig's off the radar. Paul's top 5. We'll have John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist, and also J.J. Joe, Baylor Radio, joins us today at just after 5 o'clock. Here's a stat Colt put up in the forum, Sikkim365.com premium section. Right now, Baylor is currently number 1 in the Big 12 in penalties per game, which stunned me. 2.5 penalties for 20.5 yards per game. Now, that's in conference play, where they are, what are they, 2-2? 22 penalties in the first 2 games, 14 penalties against Brigham Young, 15 penalties in the last 5 games, 137 total yards. That's remarkable. And that's still number 1 in the conference, despite Oklahoma State getting the big goose egg of no penalties against Texas.
Yeah, it was. I thought that would just throw them to the top of the list. So you get no penalties, no accepted penalties in a game. But yeah, it's impressive that they are leading that out. Now there was a time I never would have believed that about a Baylor team ever, because they were just always kind of a wash in penalties. But Dave Aranda and staff have clearly cleaned up. They weren't bad with penalties last year. You know, I think they were probably middle of the pack, but they didn't have game-killing penalties like they had in the past.
By the way, Oklahoma State overall, counting every game, even before Texas, ranked number 2 in the country behind the Air Force Academy and tied with Navy for 3.9 penalties per game. Now, that includes the non-conference games. The note from Colt about Baylor was for just inside the Big 12.
Yeah, because there is a clarification there, because if you're going on just games overall, Oklahoma State's really 7th, because there's the Air Force and Navy combo that you mentioned, but SMU.
Illinois is in there, I think, aren't they?
No, not ahead of Oklahoma State. But
no, ahead of okay, go ahead.
What do you...
No, I thought Illinois, when we had the right-around last week, they were like 4th in the country, but maybe that changed.
Yeah, unless this website's not been updated in the past 2 or 3 days, which it looks like it has been. But, yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State's still top 5 to 10 in penalties per game. I mean, to the point of the conversation, or least penalties. So, yeah, that's part of why they are where they are. And their only loss is a very close loss to the only unbeaten in the Big 12 right now. And it was at their place. And so, I think there's a great argument to be made for Oklahoma State and a potential rematch of getting, maybe their version of Baylor last year. They get to meet TCU again in the postseason and get a crack at that Big 12 championship that eluded them last year. But, easier said than done. However, limiting the penalties is a surefire way to give yourself a chance. Texas didn't give itself much of a chance, this past weekend with some of the penalties they had. Like, teams that just you have a lot of penalties, you're probably not a very good team. And if you are a good team and you have a lot of penalties, then you must be just really stinking good.
The only one I know who could ever do that was Miami.
Yeah, like that's, it's part of the deal. It's like you can't turn it over a bunch and be a good team probably, or be an elite team. And so those go together hand in hand. And Oklahoma State's sitting here with 1 loss, again, the only unbeaten in the conference in a extras game. And, they're playing smart, sound football, and that's able to overcome some of the things that maybe aren't their strong suits this time around. So, yeah, I'm all for good discipline, and they have it right now.
So, Edward, and I hope I say the name right. Let me see here. Umada. Big 12 fans really like to talk a lot about the Pac-12 California woke politics, yet are really loud at pushing for the Big 12 to take the four corner schools. The cognitive dissonance is almost insulting. And I read that. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. We saw how some who write for, cover, whatever, the kind of thumbing the nose at the Big 12 really for quite some time. But that's a pretty decent point. But
Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and Arizona State. Where do they rank on the? I hate the term woke. Where do they rank on the political college football athletics? We're not talking about presidential elections and all that. Where do they rank among the Pac-12 as far as political?
I mean, they're lower down in the totem pole for sure. And if you want to talk about the politics in each state, I mean, Arizona's probably even to the right of Texas right now. Utah is a very religious state and is a red state as well. And Colorado has legal weed, so they're kind of all over the place. But I don't. I mean, they were one of the first for legal weed. A lot of people do now, but not us. But So if you want to say that, the four schools they're talking about are not Stanford, Cal, and those. They're talking about the schools that are from the Four Corners, which are a different part of the political spectrum. They're a different part of the Pac-12 spectrum. It's a little bit different, I would say.
Yeah, Steve Sexton says Colorado's blue for sure.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Yeah,
Colorado.
that's not even a question.
Gumby says Colorado is red. Denver is blue.
I think it depends on where you are.
Yeah,
I think it's more. Yeah.
So.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely think blue there. And by the way, you said the P word politics, and I almost just fell out, just passed out.
I know.
I do not care. But I mean, that's a very broad brush you paint with, first of all. Like they
and
said,
I said that to him. I said,
and
it's a
we
blanket,
did, and they didn't. It's like, who are you even talking about? Like a random dude on Twitter? Why is that directed at us? I mean, like we give the Pac-12 its respect when respect's due. And, I think the conversation you're referring to is not just like out of nowhere. It's based out of, I don't know, events this summer, like USC and UCLA deciding to move to the Big Ten. That's where the Big 12 talk came from. The talk that was the year prior, all about the Big 12, it's just the shoe reversed, and it was on a different foot, and that's all. And that's why the whole conversation began, was because you had your OU Texas moment and nothing more. I see some of the conversations back and forth. Like, I know we got listeners to this show that fight with Pac-12 fans and so on and so forth.
Vice versa.
Yeah, and I don't delve into that. So, yeah, there's, maybe there should be a bowl game based around Pac-12 and Big 12 just to kind of get some of the feelings out there on the field. But, yeah, until both of them sign their TV deals, I mean, that's just going to be part of the equation. That's part of the fun of the chat room and, pick your side and whatnot. But, I think we've always, as a show, however, wanted to see both survive. And just speaking for us, not for the chat room, obviously.
All right, there was a question about Kansas. Will they get their bowl win? Will they get bowl eligible?
I don't know. I don't know. I actually think that their best bet might be beating Texas, which, can y'all imagine how hilarious that would be if their sixth win came against UT, just given the recent history and how much fun people have had with that.
Home against Oklahoma State, at Texas Tech, Texas at home, and Kansas State.
So tell me which. Now Kansas State's different now because of their quarterback situation.
Yeah.
But prior to Adrian Martinez getting hurt, what is the easiest game you think on there? Probably home against Texas. I mean, just based off what we've seen recently, now it's perhaps Kansas State, but that's on the road. That's a rivalry game, and K-State's not going to just roll over. So going to Lubbock, I don't know, man.
I will say this. You get Jalen Daniels back after the bye.
That changes everything.
That changes a lot of things. So
and that's this week, yep.
Yeah, they have the bye this week, and then they play Oklahoma State after. So now, granted, and that's at home. So I'm not picking Oklahoma State to lose to them. But if Jalen Daniels is healthy and playing, then that game goes a little more up in the air. But you're right, Craig. It's at home against Texas.
Yeah. And we know some of the recent history, but here's what I'm going to say about them. Had they gone into Baylor, gotten down 28-3 and lost 40-14, then I don't know. But they and yes, the shape and fumble and a couple of other things, a drop touchdown pass. But then again, that's getting into excuses, and we probably get that. That's one of the things that drives you, our audience, crazy, and me too.
But what did they do after that?
They came back and fought, scratched, clawed, and almost to a point where maybe a 3-and-out or a punt, getting a punt return, maybe they win the damn game. Think about that.
What they made, like the difference between this Kansas team and other ones is when other teams, because teams give you, Georgia's going to give you gifts during a game. It's your ability to capitalize on it.
Right.
Like Baylor gave them a gift, and they capitalized on it, and they capitalized on it, and they capitalized on it. So that's the difference. It makes them a lot scarier.
And that brings to this, and then Mac Rose is next. I was on one of the replay segments we had about Oklahoma State. We also had Robert Allen on yesterday. And some of you got a little bit edgy, a little bit feisty about the fact that we spoke too much about Texas
and what they didn't do rather than about Oklahoma State. We actually brought up a lot of things, including me listening to Mike Gundy. We discussed Spencer Sanders. We discussed that they just kept staying in the game. There's some things Texas could have done to put the nail in the coffin, like maybe give the ball to Bijan and Roshan Moore. But then Mike Gundy even said if they made some huge adjustments. Who's their defensive coordinator? Used to be the head coach at Vanderbilt. Pretty good dude, pretty smart guy. And they did shut down the Texas running game in the second half. It wasn't as if, like, Oklahoma State just got a gift, but it was something that Texas had the chance to put a nail in the coffin. They didn't. Some of you feel like we were giving Texas too much credit for losing the game rather than Oklahoma State for winning the game, and that's what fans can do as well.
Okay, but this has become a particular Oklahoma State thing here recently where we respect you. Like, you're a good team, but, like, there's been, like, a couple weeks in a row now of, like, where's our respect? We're not getting enough respect. It's just like, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, Texas did do some things that caused them to lose that game. Oklahoma State, I feel like we gave them a lot of credit. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Good win and all that, but, I mean, I don't know.
But a lot of you that are Oklahoma State fans, and I want to tell you this, a lot of you went on and said this is as fair, unbiased a show. Some of you feel like that we're Baylor fans, and we've had to address that. And on occasion, it doesn't hurt us to do that. None of us attended Baylor. None of us give money to Baylor. We cover them. And, yes, it's great when they're playing well and winning, but it's also just as good for us when it comes to clicks and views and message board stuff if, in fact, they're having a disastrous year. Right now, that's not the case, although it has been disappointing. We took a show that was core Baylor, and we grabbed onto everybody we could around the country. And for those who have been here since April of 2020, you know that. And those eventually who weren't, you'll understand that along the way. Wanted to clarify that. Mack Rhodes, Baylor Athletic Director, is next.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Got a lot of great deals going on right now over at Richard Carr. They are the people that you can count on for the life of your vehicle, for a great deal, for great customer service as well. They didn't buy my car there originally, but I have had my car over there getting worked on, and I can definitely recommend Donnie and company as a terrific crew of folks that will have you back in your car in no time and having you enjoying and feeling good with a terrific peace of mind about the vehicle that you are driving. Well, right now over the dealership, they've got trucks and SUVs from GMC all over the lot. 2022 Sierras, Acadias, Terrains have arrived. They're waiting for you to test drive today. XT4 SUVs, XT5 SUVs also available for a test drive. But inventory is going fast, so get there now for best selection. When it comes to the Sierra in particular, you're looking at the best-in-class towing. You're looking at a strong steel bed, multi-pro tailgate, advanced collision avoidance, luxurious interior that includes massive touchscreens, 14 camera views, and premium comfort. And maybe the exact truck or SUV you're looking for is not on the lot. Get on their inbound vehicle list. You can cut in line for trucks that are in production but not quite in stock, or let them help you design the exact truck or SUV you want, and Richard Carr will have GMC prioritize it for you. So, a lot of different options, including if you want to drive your car longer. The award-winning service and collision repair will ensure that your vehicle is working properly, and anything that's not quite operating at full cylinder, well, they'll get it working for you and have that car in tip-top shape. So check out the website to see their service specials and set an appointment for quick and reliable service from the dealer you can count on. For 23 years in Central Texas, Richard Carr, run by proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Hi, this is Paul Catalina. I recently got engaged to the love of my life, but the most important thing that I had to do before I popped the question was get that perfect ring. And I know nothing about rings. So I went to the wedding ring store, Boozer's Jewelers on Valley Mills Drive. I knew I needed a custom design, and that's exactly what they do. 9 out of 10 of their engagement rings are designed in-house. The entire process took less than a month, and they were great every step of the way. Great options on financing, excellent selection, and talented designers. My fiance and I get nonstop compliments on the ring. I only deserve credit for doing the smartest thing I could, walking into Boozer's and letting them work their magic. Your one-of-a-kind fiance deserves a one-of-a-kind ring, and that's what you get at Boozer's. Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store on Valley Mills Drive.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mac Rhodes, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers. Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, both of you who are very known to ask that extra question, Mac has to be off with us at 4:45, maybe even a minute or two prior to that. I honored him earlier today. We honor him again. He joins us on 365 Sports. Mac, thank you very much. I know the commissioner obviously had a chance to visit with him, was in town. Was that to visit Baylor again, or was that something while he was here? You guys also had a Big 12 conference call.
The latter. He was generous enough and kind enough to do the tip-off luncheon, and it just so happened that we had a AD conference call at 10 a.m. And so we met in one of the suites and did the conference call from there. Accommodated a needy media partner person healthy, snuck in an interview and then went to the luncheon.
He mentioned a week ago about hoping that could be something done with the television network deals in a couple of weeks, and it seemed like today maybe tapped the brakes a little bit on that. Is it still something that could be on the horizon and not tapping the brakes?
Yeah, I think that I think that he's been certainly cautious, but I don't think from when he made that statement to today, I don't think we feel any different. I think we're very, very optimistic, and I think something will get done here very soon. So we're again, things are fluid in this space, and things can always change last minute. But I don't think anything has changed since the last time you spoke to him, or the last time he made public comments about it.
Mac, I was really interested to hear him talk about and repeatedly talk about the television partners also not being just about paying you guys money for the rights to your games, but promoting and selling the Big 12 like most networks would that have a thing. I'm always curious, does it bother you as a commissioner or an AD in the Big 12 that certain conferences get the full meal deal when it comes to promoting, and the ACC, Big 12, and some of the other ones don't get as much on that? Wouldn't you want to promote every show that you have almost equally?
Yeah, so I think, Paul, that's a really good question. And I think there's, I probably look at it from two different angles. First, obviously, is yes. And I think, he talked about meaningful conversations with the TV partners. And when we think about meaningful, it's beyond the rights fee, as you mentioned, right? It's really about, are you all in with the Big 12? Do you really believe in the Big 12? Do you really believe in the 12 member institutions? Again, speaking about when Texas and OU leave, and you are you in terms of helping us grow our brand and promoting the league and all of those things? And so I think those conversations have been very positive, meaningful, however, whatever descriptor that you want to use. But the other part of it too is we got to do our part. We as Big 12, we've got to win. We've got to win at a high level when you think about all of our sport programs. But obviously, so much attention when we think about TV media dollars and CFP. So much of it on football, and we've got to do our part. And there's no doubt in my mind that we will, and we're in the process of doing that. I think men's basketball has certainly shown that when you think about, the last three Final Fours, really the last three finals have had Big 12 participants, and obviously the last two national championships. But football, we've got to do that, and I think we will. And so I think there's both of those things coming together, and when they do, I think it's going to be really special for the Big 12.
Yeah, I think I've said on here a few times, like all that marketing towards the SEC doesn't matter if they don't have like 6 teams win national championships in a 12-year time, or whatever the insane number is. That certainly helps matters when the teams are winning. Max, speaking of winning, your team, Baylor football on Saturday, hosting homecoming, got a win over Kansas, able to snap a small losing streak, and certainly a little bit stressful there towards the end. But your thoughts on homecoming weekend and football getting back in the win column?
Well, homecoming is always a special time, and it's great to see all of the Baylor family come back and unite on campus and have fun. And homecoming is quite an undertaking. There's so many different programs and events, and it takes a lot of people and all of their hard work, both at the university level in athletics. So just grateful to all of the people that had a part in making it a really special weekend. The parade, the city of Waco, all of the people that again had a part and were important to making that a great parade. And then homecoming is man, it's never what it can be unless your football team wins, and we were fortunate to win. And again, I'm always going to be transparent and candid. I was probably really, really excited about the first 25 minutes, and then not so much the next 30, and then excited again the last 5. And I think you saw a glimpse of what this team can be when we're playing complementary football. We're not making mistakes, unforced errors. I'd like to maybe reference them as that, but and look, that's a really good Kansas team, and certainly blessed and fortunate to get a win, and now you got to turn around and we've got a I think a really, really tough matchup in Lubbock. It's hard to play there. It's hard to play there at night. They're a good football team, and so it'll be a terrific matchup challenge for us.
Joey McGuire was obviously interested in the job when Matt Rule decided to go to the NFL, and Dave Aranda was your choice to replace him. And obviously last year, 12-2 National Coach of the Year, an incredible run. And then Joey left midway through last year, which is his opportunity to go to Texas Tech. How did your relationship with Joey, from the time you made the decision with Dave Aranda to the time he left, how was that, and has that changed?
Yeah, it's I think there's a balance there. The minute he made that decision, obviously, extremely happy for him and his family, and so all of that, completely supportive of the transition. But you're now the enemy, and I love you, but now you're on the other side, and the relationship changes. It has to, and that's the reality of it. And they're trying to beat us, we're trying to beat them, and off season and maybe some specific other moments. Those are the times for the friendship and to connect. But right now, this is a big game, and we're trying to do our best to go in there and play at an elite level and beat a really, really good football team. I think Joey's done a really, really good job there, hired two really good coordinators, and and he's got some energy behind the program, which doesn't surprise anybody. And we certainly wish him the best, but not on Saturday.
When you decided on Dave Aranda, Mac, and I don't think we ever asked you this because he had to think about it, and I can understand anyone would, and he decided to come back. Did you have a conversation with him when that decision was made?
When Joey, to come back, yeah. We did, because obviously there was disappointment. He wanted to be the head coach, and I made a decision otherwise, and certainly wouldn't change that decision. And I don't mean that any disrespect to Joey. Joey was at a different place in time in terms of his coaching career when you think about number of years at the college level, et cetera. And then all of a sudden you fast forward a year and 3/4 of a year and you're under now two different head coaches, and you've had some different experiences, and now maybe you're more ready to be a head coach. And so, but we had the conversation, and, you can't do this unless, you're all in, both heart and mind. And I think, certainly think Joey was, and again, you throw on top of the whole COVID stuff, and it was it was a hard time, but he handled it well. I think Coach Aranda handled it exceptionally well, and Joey got the opportunity, and again, like I mentioned, happy for him.
Mac, this game used to be a neutral site game. It's gone back to home and homes, and you see, across the country, Alabama's not playing as many of those neutral site games. Kirby Smart is talking about taking the cocktail party out of Jacksonville and going home and home because of recruiting. Do you see that maybe being less of a thing than it was a decade ago, because now recruiting as the lifeblood, it's better to have these games on your campus?
Yeah, I think, in terms of your fan bases and your community, right, and the economy and all of those things, I think there's got to be something really compelling to take it off campus now, and obviously that's probably financial, and maybe that's financial tied into name, image, and likeness, and those sorts of things. And so, I think when we announced, Kirby and I, announced that it was going back to campuses, we said that, we'd revisit. in a few years, and does it make sense to keep it on campus versus taking it off campus? And I'll be again quite frank, we haven't had that conversation. Probably haven't even thought about it because of so much going on right now with the conference realignment stuff, the NCAA transformation issues, items, name, image, and likeness. So many of those things have really helped us captive and in terms of just our attention. And so really haven't had a conversation or thought about it. Again, I think it would have to be something compelling, and I don't want to speak for Kirby, but something really compelling to bring it back to a neutral site.
Mac, one more thing, and I know you have a meeting to get to. When Brett Yormark last week was also speaking, he mentioned that Texas and Oklahoma have been fully engaged among everyone in the Big 12. Everyone now knows that timeline is 24, 25, whatever still happens with any kind of fees, penalties, whatever. I don't know, but did that surprise you? And has that been comfortable? And have they ever actually given anybody an idea that might be helpful?
Look, it does not surprise me. I think, right out of the gate, we felt strongly about both would be with us, up till the end, right through the 24-25 academic year. And they really spoke to that, both institutions, presidents and athletic directors. And then, that began to change and move in a different direction, and thought, well, maybe, there's a window, an opportunity, a win-win for both the Big 12 and those institutions to at least, maybe leave a year early. And then, it's come back now. And I think we're on pretty solid footing that they will stay until the last year, the 24-25 academic year. Is it a little bit awkward? Sure it is. But we're all grown-ups. This is the script. This is what it is. And we've got to find a way to manage business. And oh, by the way, you're adding four teams to some of those meetings, and four teams that really don't have a vote because they're not actual members. And so there's a lot, in terms of just trying to navigate all that. But I would just say, all 14 institutions, I think, have handled it well. I do think there's a sincerity from some of the people from both of the institutions that they want the Big 12 to be viable and continue on. And every now and then there is a good idea.
Could you do everything? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, did I answer all of the questions?
You didn't mention anything if there's a good idea, but I wanted to bring up someone on your staff as you walk to your meeting. What would you do without Lauren Smith?
Wow, that is a question that probably caught me off guard a little bit, but I think Lauren has such great passion for people. She loves people. She truly wants what's best for them. And I would say, that certainly starts with staff, with our executive team, with myself, but also with people external to our department. She does a lot for my family. She does a lot for me, for the athletic department, for the athletic director's office. She's great at what she does, and hoping that she wants to be here for at least as long as I'm here.
Thank you, Mac. Appreciate it so much. Good to see you today. Mac Rhodes, Director of Athletics at Baylor, on many things. The visit from Brett Yormark. It was a scheduled day for the Big 12 meetings. They had a conference call, and he also spoke, as we had earlier, at the tip-off luncheon. And the interview, if you didn't get it, is up on our feeds, and will be up on some other feeds as well before the end of the day. This is 365 Sports. Craig Smoak at Off the Radar is coming up next.
We're fighting hard at Pickup Outfitters in our battle to end truck nudity. But it's not just about putting an outfit on a naked truck, it's about making sure you have the very best customer service. So we offer the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. Over time, sometimes your outfit needs a little tune-up, maybe some tightening, adjusting, whatever. If you outfitted your truck at Pickup Outfitters, that tune-up is absolutely no charge for the remainder of the time you own that truck. We also offer free warranty assistance. If for any reason you need to use your warranty, you just bring it back to us and we take care of it. It just makes sense. I mean, operating without a promise like that would be like offering customer service in the nude. And if you've seen our staff, trust me, you don't want that. So do your part to end truck nudity by outfitting your truck, Jeep, SUV, or van at Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we promise to serve you fully clothed. Check out our website, createacommotion.com.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don's Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Chuck Verno, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Chuck Verno, 720 North 64th Street in Waco, 254-732-1161. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right. Welcome into Off the Radar here on 365 Sports. For those just joining us, this is basically a segment to just kind of whip around various stories across sports, and sometimes that will still remain college football related. Sometimes that will be non-college football related, and I got a little bit of everything so far as today's grab bag goes. But yeah, mostly a grab bag of just a variety of different topics that are going on, and some of them a little bit more nuanced. Like, for example, the mess that Kirk Ferentz finds himself in today. I don't really have a short, digestible way to kind of throw that whole story out there, but the basic gist of it, as we get to it later, is it had a really kind of was tactless be a word?
Yeah, no, that's very much.
Yeah, I had a response to a reporter today
Classless.
who was asking some hard questions, and it just didn't come across very well. Even if it maybe in hindsight wasn't as bad as it appears online, the reaction tells you he misfired. That's what that is. But we can save that for later. Elsewhere, though, in just more, like I said, digestible news, I did see the college football ratings. That's something I didn't get around to until later in the segment last week, so I thought I'd start off with it this time around. Some of the top games from Week 8. The top game, most watched game in Week 8, Syracuse and Clemson.
Wow.
On ABC.
There's that New York market.
4.7 million viewers, so clearly didn't have like a 10 million type game. No Bama, Texas, or what was the other one here recently?
Bama, Tennessee.
Oh yeah, Bama, Tennessee. Wasn't quite that. 4.7 million for Syracuse, Clemson, which dethrones. I think the SEC's been on a little bit of a run here the last couple of weeks. Texas, Oklahoma State, the second highest rated game, 4.5 million tuned in for that one on ABC. Iowa, go ahead.
The first two games you mentioned were both great football games. Am I right? Weren't they both down to the wire type games? And that doesn't hurt, but you also have some bangers in there.
Yeah, Iowa, Ohio State on Fox, 4.4 million for third. Ole Miss, LSU, CBS, 3.9. Had Minnesota, Penn State, also out of the Big Ten, 3.5. Mississippi State, Alabama, 3.4. And I'm not rounding up or down. I'm just going off the UCLA, Oregon pulled in 3.3 million. So a good number of games, 3 million or more, and kind of scattershot from Pac-12 country to SEC to ACC to Big 12.
What it shows you, if you're a college football fan who says, my conference gets more TV viewers than your conference. No, Alabama gets more TV viewers than your conference. Ohio State might, but I mean, they showed right there. That 4.4 million was 4 million Ohio State watchers and 400,000 Iowa fans, but maybe not even that. But I do think that if it's on a network, it's a good game. People are going to watch it. People watch really crappy NFL games.
Oh, most of them.
Guess what we like in America? We like fried foods. We like football. And if it's there, we're going to watch it.
Yeah, and that's why I don't dive in. I mentioned the network, but I don't dive into like the time slot and all of that. I mean, because if we really wanted to break it down, we could. But I said with this segment, for those joining us, this isn't about like pro Big 12 and take that ACC. This is just like
evidence.
This is evidence of what's being watched and what the top games are. So after that 3+ million mark, where you had 7 games or so that all topped that, including 3 going above the 4 million mark, there was a pretty big drop. But those were all mostly the biggest games, going from UCLA, Oregon, up to Syracuse, Clemson. K-State, TCU had 1.5 million over on FS1, and then Washington, Cal, also on ESPN, got 1.3 million. So those were your top most watched games of the past week. And like I said, a bit of everything as far as the grab bag of ratings there goes. Last night, did y'all watch much of that football game last night, Monday Night Football?
I saw the first half.
You guys text. We have a 3-person group text, and you said, hey, it's a pretty entertaining game, his first half, and I watched a little bit of it. I didn't think I would, and then all of a sudden it turned out to be pretty decent. How about the Bears hammering the New England Patriots who have a quarterback issue?
Yeah, I mean, Bailey Zappi comes in and replaces Mac Jones. He had a couple of touchdown drives right away. Everybody went crazy. New England fans love Bailey Zappi, and then it just kind of petered off after that, where, the Bears took control and retained control. And I was a bit surprised by that. But the way Bailey Zappi came out initially, I mean, he was a man on fire, and he really didn't do much. He just hit like a couple passes. His receivers made great catches, and but it got the crowd going, and he thought that maybe they were going to flip that game on its ear. But after he threw those first 2 passes back-to-back, they didn't score again the rest of the game. Bears 33, Patriots 14. So now both teams at 3-4 on the year. But, yeah, that was an entertaining game, at least definitely that portion where Zappi came in and the 2 touchdowns he scored pretty quickly. That was a fun game to watch. Elsewhere, just saw this uniform note, but I don't have a graphic available, and I'm not sure if there's a good one out there just yet, Garrett, but because this just came down a few minutes ago. You can envision it pretty easily, though. But for the first time, Tennessee unveiling the all-black uniforms. They've teased this before. I've seen some pictures that were out there, but they will wear black helmets for the first time in history coming up on Saturday against Kentucky, which is a 6 o'clock game on ESPN. There's like some various frames taken from like the video, I guess, announcing this. So nothing like a not super clear, great picture just yet. But yeah, you got one? Okay, black helmet, black jersey, black pants, all black, including the helmet. First time ever for Tennessee. We will see that as they've got a couple of alternates that they've now introduced. And kind of seems like when you're winning and there's the all black, you get a little bit of a glimpse of that.
It's Halloween.
Yeah, it's Halloween colors, absolutely. Yeah. But there is a little bit of a glimpse on Tennessee, and those are the perfect Halloween. That's Oregon State in a way, but those are perfect Halloween uniforms coming up that you will see this Saturday for Tennessee.
Yeah. By the way, during most of Halloween, I'll be here doing the big one, too, live 6:30 on this channel on Monday nights.
Oh, very nice.
That looks like candy corn's got a little yellow in it, doesn't it? Or is that
it's white, yellow, and orange.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
I mean, I guess it could be black, but, I don't think anything's stopping it other than, the cost.
Yeah, the dye cost or whatever. But, yeah, it's orange, yellow, and white. But, yeah, those are cool uniforms. I'm sure there will be some traditionalists who don't like that. Yeah. But that's the first time you'll ever see that look exactly from Tennessee. Mentioned the Big Ten schedule is going to be released tomorrow at noon East. They'll have the announcements on the Big Ten Network, but 11 a.m., did it say noon or 11? I think 11 a.m. On the Big Ten Network. And they are going to be, sticking with their East-West division lineup, and they will do that for next season. And then beyond 2024, whenever USC and UCLA come in, they're still deciding on what exactly they're going to do there in terms of the schedule and divisions and how all of that will work. But you will see the 2023 Big Ten schedule released tomorrow morning. Just saw this come down a little while ago. This is a local Big 12 note. It's a local Big 12 note in so many ways. Jelani McDonald, a standout player from Connolly High School here in the Waco area, has decommitted from Oklahoma State. He has reopened his recruitment, and I know that he got a Texas offer here recently, so I'm sure that that's playing into his head a little bit. And, Gary, you can correct me if there's anything more than that, but I know Texas offered here recently.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago.
He visited when they played Iowa State.
Yeah, he got the offer after that.
Yeah. And I remember Robert Allen even texted me. He was worried about it. They, obviously that got everyone's hair on the back of their neck. And UT offers someone like that, an hour and a half away, if that even long, that's got to be a concern. And that probably is his next move.
Yep, that would not be surprising whatsoever. And I will close it out with this as we continue on with the grab bag here. Let me make sure. You got the Tennessee uniforms, got the Big Ten schedule, and I think that's about all that I want. Oh, no, here's one more note before I get to like the bad story of the day. One more before that one. Jim Nantz stepping down from the NCAA tournament. I don't know that we mentioned that on air yesterday. Maybe we did.
I don't think so.
I know I mentioned, I think, during a commercial break, but he will be stepping down from the NCAA tournament after being the voice for, a long, long time, since 1991 when he replaced Brent Musburger. He will be replaced by Ian Eagle per the New York Post. So Final Four down in Houston. Nance will be the lead guy for that, and then it will be the Ian Eagle show as far as the lead voice for March Madness.
I like Ian Eagle a lot. I think he does a great job.
Jim Nance, you see more and more social media about this and that, Joe Buck and whatever, but I had a chance to interview him at a Super Bowl one year. He wrote a book about his father. You talk about living the dream. My goodness. Been able to do the Masters, then the NCAA tournament, and then the Masters, not to mention the NFL. He is, and he's huge friends with Fred Couples. He was at Houston, so that's the connection right there. That maybe his last one will be where he played.
He went to college at Houston.
Yeah.
So there is the connection that it all comes full circle for him. But yeah, last year for March Madness for Jim Nance, and I think it was like Sports Media Watch. They had a little write-up on it, and they pointed out that there's like a big changing of the guard going on with announcers right now. If you look at like who's calling the biggest events, like Super Bowl, World Series, like it's all flipping. It's all going to different guys. And that's just kind of interesting to see it all happening at once. So, yeah, March Madness will change. Joe Davis doing the World Series for the first time. You got Kevin Burkhardt doing the Super Bowl. Tarico's going to do a Super Bowl here in the next few years for the first time. So just kind of interesting to see that. But that's as time goes by, that's what happens. And speaking of time, and I'm not trying to make a witty little transition here, but Brittany Griner, we got to update what's going on with the former Baylor women's basketball star. Her appeal to the Russian courts over her sentence has been upheld. The appeal has been rejected, and her 9-year prison sentence has been upheld. So awful news today for Brittany Griner. Moscow court rejecting the appeal on Tuesday, 9-year sentence on drug charges. This was not a shock to the United States. I don't think it was probably much of a shock to Griner and her family as well. And this is politics now at this point. I know people can say, well, don't the crime and the time and all of that jazz, but I think there's obviously some outer politics also because of the timing of it and when it happened and all that. And yes, she's now facing that, and they will, I guess, get to work on trying to figure out how to prevent her from having to stay in a Russian cell for the next 9 years.
I was walking back towards where I live at a condo, and there's a lady that lives above me, Celia, and she was walking to a car to get into a car to go to probably lunch or whatever, and she said, and she was very upset about it, she said something about Brittany Griner. I said, Celia, you have to expect the absolute worst that might happen. I mean, all the decisions from start to finish. I'm not into the court system. I don't want to get into the court system. But she was upset about it, and I just said, "Hey,
especially going into the Russian court system."
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
She can be upset about that. She has every right to be upset about that.
I said she should just know that nothing really good's going to come out of it.
Well, yeah.
And I tried to actually calm her down. All right, when we come back, we're not done. The 5 o'clock hour. Craig, thank you very much for Off the Radar. When we come back, we have the 5 o'clock hour, including former Baylor quarterback J.J. Joe, a part of the radio broadcast, and John McClain Hall of Fame columnist, and more. And this is 365 Sports. Pickup Outfitters, Jay Arrett, 220 Lake Air Drive. I was trading back and forth a minute ago with an email from Jay. If you go in and tell him that you heard this from me, I believe that this is still very much on the table. $120 off any solid bed cover purchased and installed at Pickup Outfitters. Tell them I sent you. Tell them 365 Sports or SicEm365.com sent you. Includes folding, rolling, retractable, and lid-style bed covers. $125 off any solid bed cover purchased and installed at Pickup Outfitters. It's a great place to get accessories for your car, your truck, your SUV, your vehicle. Pickup Outfitters, createacommotion.com at 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgan Ford. It's that time of year. It's football season, and BK Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football teams in Texas, right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, led by our leading rusher, the F-150, 45 years in a row. Lock in your best price and rate today by custom ordering your new F-150 at BK Ford. Simple, easy, trusted. Experience better at Bird Colgan Ford.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
It's football and tailgate season. If you want product for the grill or smoker, charcoal seasonings, marinades, sauces, Waco Custom Marketplace is your home to help prep, cook, and enjoy your food. Tailgate must-like brisket, tri-tip, fresh-made burgers, sausage, chicken wings, and if you want steaks, call in your order and pick them up. Bacon wrap fillets or any kind of ribeyes. USDA Select, Choice, and Prime that melt in your mouth. House-made sausage and jerky. Also, Waco Custom Marketplace, a one-stop shop for Tailgating, barbecue cook-offs, and family get-togethers, fundraisers with fair prices to you, the customer. A bakery with fresh baked bread and kolaches. There's cold beer, wine, and soft drinks. Serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. A cut above the rest. Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Howdy, Chet Garner here, professional guide, searching for bears in the wild. But not just any bears, oh no, a particular kind. With hundreds of thousands roaming freely in the wild, yet still hard to spot unless you know the signs. There they are, Baylor bears. If you're a bear enthusiast or even a bear yourself, join me and let's find some bears in the wild.
Join the expedition at baylor.edu/alumni.
Make a winning drive to Genco and refinance your vehicle. Every loan can skip monthly payments for 90 days with rates as low as 3.75% APR for 48 months. Right now is the time to make a play. At Genco, we save you money by helping you pay less for your car. Every loan scores no payments for 90 days. Then have a chance to win 3 more months of no payments. Apply online today for an additional discount of 0.15% off our already low rates. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. For more information, go to GencoFCU.org. Member NCUA.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
They might go for it, and they do. 4th down and 5. Chapin and Baylor. His throw for Baldwin. Has a first down across the 40 and then some. Oh, the speed! 70 yards! Sparks off his shoes for Monterey Baldwin.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
2nd down and 15. Joe Bonner. He's loose. He's got his 2nd touchdown. No flags. 69 yards on that score. Tony Bowie missed the tackle. And somewhat shockingly, this game is tied.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
He played the game. He broadcast the color analyst for Baylor Radio. J.J. Joe saw him as he was walking out of the McLean. In fact, on Saturday after the win against Kansas, he joins us on 365 Sports. J.J., great to see you. Also great to have you on the show. Baylor ran for 273 yards, and even though it got a little bit shaky in the second half, is that the formula that you've been waiting for?
Well, you know, I've said it a couple times that I think if you have a team that returns, 4 or 5 starters, 4 starters on your offensive line. I know Khalil just got back. And, you know, they are your identity. You don't have any wideouts returning. Now, we were, you know, challenged with runners because, you know, Reese and Squirrel, both those guys are small, young. And Tay's been hurt. So, but I've been asking to give the runners 30 carries. But, Dave, I didn't know they were going to give one of the guys 30. But, hey, we'll take it.
JJ, they kind of took their foot off the gas after that drop by Ben Sims. What do you think they're getting at least a little bit better with that? or was this game another wake-up call for them that they need to follow?
Well, if this team in the wake, I don't know how we wake them up. I think Coach Aranda is kind of at a quandary about this team, but I think he knows what he has. What he has is a mix of, wily veterans that have been through the process mixed with a bunch of young puppies that or we could say they're not young any longer because they played 7 games, but with young players, they seemingly make mistakes that, I guess there's never a good time to make a mistake. But it's like they cascade them. It's like, one young guy make a mistake, then a veteran make a mistake, then another 2 young guys will make a mistake. And it just compounds, and it's like it's contagious with this team. And that's why we're 4-3 instead of maybe being 6-1 or 5-2. But we'll see if they learn. We'll see on Saturday. Ask me that question next week.
JJ, going back to the running game for a second, you mentioned Richard Reese isn't the biggest guy, but there he was with the amount of carries he had. But it seems like Quaylon Jones is finding his footing. Would you agree with that?
I would. I think Quaylon, I've been really impressed. I mean, he's figured out, how I think Coach Juice has taught him, hey, if you want playing time, we have 2 young guys, and of course Squirrel was out, that are really playing well. If you want playing time, we need your size. This is how I need you to run. I think I've loved Quaylon. He's been really good with, one cut and go. He's been surprising a little bit with his ability to get to the edge as well for a nice-sized young man. But I think he's exactly what they need with Tay out, because they just got to have a little bit more size out there to complement Squirrel and, of course, Richard Reese.
JJ, as someone who played the position, and also you were, again, a dual threat guy, you had to get outside the pocket because you're flushed, you're rushed, and maybe you had to buy some time. What is it? What would you suggest to Blake Shapen about protecting the football? Not by throwing it, that's important, but there's a couple of weeks in a row where a critical fumble that kind of flipped everything around.
Yeah, it's just one of those, Dave, it's one of those things you have to go through. I mean, trust me, I made my share of, really untimely mistakes as a young quarterback. And, I think I wrote this in an article that, Shapen has started 9 games as of, I guess, of course, the Kansas game. He's played in 13. So he's basically played in a season's worth of games, one more, and then started less than a season. And I think what we've seen is just, a little bit of that lack of experience and immaturity a little bit. Not that, immaturity in the sense that, he's just, arrogant or something, but it's just immaturity as far as the experience level of knowing what he can get away with and what he can't. And, those 2 turnovers, if you think about the 2 big ones, forget the INTs. I'm not concerned about the INTs, and that's what I wrote. It's more of the security with the ball, with the fumbles. Because I think that's not only a technical thing, because it's very technical. I know he has a quarterback's coach that works with them on that. But then also, is part of just kind of the focused mental component of it. And he has to understand that this team goes as he goes. He is the pulse. And as a quarterback, that's one of the hardest things for you to get. You think it's only offensive related. It's actually team related, because if he's balling out like last year when he first started, do you not think the defense wanted to get the ball back so they could let Shapen have another shot at it?
Mm-hmm.
That's how they think. And if they see that for some reason Shapen is struggling and may not pull him out, right, that extra little bit that they need, it may not be there, because they're saying, like, well, he doesn't have it going today.
JJ, the defense still not really getting after the quarterback all that much, and that is going to be tantamount in the next few weeks, especially this week against Texas Tech on the road. They're going to have to take the crowd out of it somehow. What would you do to fix that?
Coach won't do it. No, he won't do it. I just think that the thing this year is we have to cover those who cover. Mm-hmm. And that part of that is, hey, we lost. You lost some good corners. You lost Kalen Barnes. You lost Raleigh Tejada. You moved Al Walcott. Your top 3 corners, think about it. They're not playing corner anymore. One is still on the roster, but he's not playing corner. And I have my own thoughts about that. I mean, in this league, I don't think I ever would have took a guy off corner who had success playing corner. But nevertheless, that's what we've done. So when you put 2 young men back there, although Mark Milton has experience, AJ McCarty has some experience, Lorando Johnson, he was a corner in high school. So you're going to have to work through some things with him. And the coach has decided, Coach Roberts has decided, hey, we got to give our front an opportunity because we think they're really good. And but I will start this with a caveat. The Kansas team that we played, I went back and looked at their stats. I mean, they haven't given up more than one sack in any game this season. Since Bean's been there and when Jalen Daniels, both those guys are mobile. So we got one. They hadn't given up in more than three pressures, three quarterback hurries in a game. So we had three. So I think maybe if I go this weekend against the Tech team, and I wrote this today on Stickum 365, this team, Tech, has given up 24 sacks and 36 QB hurries in a season. That's 60 impacts on their quarterback in 7 games, I think. If we don't get to this guy this week, then I'm concerned about our ability to rush the passer with just our front four.
Yeah, if Texas Tech everybody's got weaknesses, but there's certainly the offensive line. I mean, no doubt. So, yeah, I'm with you there, JJ. If there's a 0 sack total again, then, man, sound the alarms in a major way. I was curious what you thought about the way they got Kyron Drones involved, a little package for him near the goal line. Do you like that?
I love it. I love it. And I know, trust me, I've been a quarterback, and, man, you hate to come out. I know Blake was standing there like, man, Coach is tripping. Now, I'm sure Coach told him, hey, we're going to try to get him in the game and get us some action. But still, when you're in the game, it's different being quarterback than being a wide out or being, a tight end. You just never want to give up snaps because you feel like it interrupts your flow. But I looked like Blake was a trooper. He knew it was coming, seemed like. And I think, since you do want to protect Chapin from the hits, he had just been concussed, 10 days before. It's good since you want to run it to get Kyron in with that size and that body and a guy who's also proven he can throw the ball. I think they'll expand his package. And I would also really seriously consider, whenever we start getting to really short and we think the quarterback may run, to at least make it a consideration. You don't want to do it too much because that will throw a Chapin off and you don't want to upset your starter. But I think you consider it at least and make other teams prepare for it.
JJ, where was the most difficult place you ever had to play? A conference game when you were at Baylor?
And you may have read, I told people before the season, I mean, I gave a list, and Norman and Austin were like the last two, and I had played in Norman, so that may not be fair. I played in Austin, and I know they've expanded their stadium, but I'm going to tell you, Lubbock, especially Lubbock at night. I played at Lubbock in the day, I played Lubbock at night. It's something about, I don't know if it's the sound, the way the stadium is built, but it does not escape there. I remember playing in Lubbock my junior year, and we got beat 38 to 15 or 20 or something. And I just remember that I could not hear myself call signals. Now, when you're a quarterback, most of the time you understand in loud places, any place you play, it's hard for your teammates to hear you. But when you have a hard time hearing yourself, it's loud. And I remember just how loud Tech was and how rowdy they were. And it is just a difficult place to go into and come out of there with the win if you don't play clean and if you don't get really physical with them from the jump. So it's a tough joint, man. It just is.
Is there a chance, JJ, and I don't know, based on what we've seen, can they put together 3 or 4 quarters, and is it enough even to win there? But is there a chance if they get that game that could get them going in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, Dave, this team isn't far off. That's the frustrating thing, I think, with fans. I think, we saw the 2012 team after RG3 left, and we went 7-5. We kind of saw it, and you kind of say they closed, but then they went on the run, and we felt like, that 8-5 team ended up being 8-5. That's an 8-5 team. This team, has been frustratingly. They've frustrated most of us to get to the 4-3 because you see the glimpse of, like, the first half. They were about to take Kansas to the woodshed and have them tuck tail at half and say, let's get to next week. Until we decided that the old Baylor or the Baylor from the previous couple weeks would show up. And I just believe, and it's not anything big. It's like, if we just don't turn it over or make that kind of mistake, then man, the ceiling for this team is way, way up there. And I'm hoping that we can at least play a clean first half where we just like, hey, we take care of the ball like we did early in the season, and we just, decide we're going to run the game, run the ball, and be physical with Tech and see where the chips fall.
Not to single him out, JJ, but it's just one of those plays. If Ben Sims just catches the most catchable touchdown ever, then they probably win that game like 62-3. But it's like that one thing went wrong, and then just like a bunch of stuff started going wrong. And it's just, it's a lot of it's self-inflicted, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm not going to put it on Ben. I think Ben probably beat himself up more than anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Ben never misses the ball, right? And I'm with you, though. I mean, Craig, I'm not just singing, but I'm with you. When he missed that, I'm like, oh, my goodness, here we go. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing that came across my mind. Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm saying it in the booth, here we go, what happens to play later? We throw a pick, right?
Yep.
So I think if I'm thinking it, then potentially just, subconsciously some of the players are thinking it. Ben Sims misses a wide open pass. And think about this, Craig, is if he misses it, say if Blake just decides I'm either going to throw it to my guy or it's going to be incomplete on third down, and we kick a field goal and we go up 31-3.
Mm-hmm.
You still feel really good, right?
Yeah.
You feel good. 31-3, we feel great. And then maybe we get the first half drive. What do we do? Right? Mm-hmm. So I think, that's why we just need to play a clean game in the first half against Tech. And I think that'll help us at least feel like, okay, I think we're ready. And then we'll just let the chips fall with the May in the second half.
JJ, there's been times throughout this year that Dave Aranda's kind of alluded to this team, the maturity or immaturity or maybe some infighting. I asked him a couple of weeks ago, is there anything simmering that's like a problem within the team? He said no. It's just part of, kind of understanding to be a college athlete or whatever. There has been a player or two that's kind of like on social media kind of bitched and moaned a little bit, so to speak.
Just had one enter the transfer portal a week ago.
Yeah, I had one enter the transfer portal, and I even asked Dave about that. He doesn't take that personally. There's always a reason, but is that a concern of yours right now? And you would think if anyone had the pulse of that, it would be someone like Dave Aranda.
I do. I think, and I don't think he'll blow smoke either. I think, I think he would actually shoot you straight, right?
Yep.
In his own way. So I would be really concerned if they would have lost to Kansas. And I was really impressed by the way we came out against Kansas. I said, okay, wow. Because I thought, we may have guys start to bail, right? You get 3-3, you expect to win conference.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you, at the moment I felt like this, I think he got across these guys, is running out of tunnel. Apu is always the first guy. But he actually ran a little faster this week. He came out of the tunnel. He did his normal deal. He doesn't run all the way to the sideline, to the end zone. That's too far for Apu. He's a big guy. So he cuts to the sideline like he always does. And he had a level of energy that I hadn't seen from Apu in a while. It's like he was saying, okay, enough, right? And although his stats don't show it, he also has to understand. He is one of those ones on the defense that can make guys come go with him. Mm-hmm. It's not that many of them that can, but he can. And he had a really good game, I thought. I haven't seen the stats, but I saw a couple plays where he just couldn't get Bean, but he did his job and flushed Bean, and we just didn't corral him. But that's when I felt like, okay, these guys might be ready to play. Because Apu, if he's doing it, that means he's bringing some guys with him. So, I hope we see that kind of thing on Saturday.
JJ, before we let you go here, a lot of good stuff, but just your final thoughts, or I guess your passing thoughts on what you've seen, if anything, from Texas Tech so far.
Yeah, I've seen him in a couple. I think I saw him play a little bit against NC State. I hadn't gotten into him yet, guys, to be honest with that. But okay. I know when I saw him play NC State, they played a really good game. This is what I know from my preliminary reading is that they've lost 3 games and they've all been the ranked teams. They haven't lost a game. Lost to NC State. I believe that was on the road. I think they also lost to, help me out here. They lost to Kansas State. Was that right?
NC State on the road.
Right.
Yeah, all 3 losses are on the road.
And then Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State. All those are ranked teams. I think NC State is 24 now. They lost their quarterback. They had their quarterback then. So that tells me he won his 2 close ones. Texas at home was close. Houston, I think, was at home, or was that away? That was a close one, though.
Yeah, they're perfect at home. They're perfect at home, and they're winless on the road. Yeah.
Yeah. So that what that tells me, is that they're a solid team. They're probably in that vein right now that they're young, that they play much better at home than they do away. Not that they play bad, and that for Baylor to go win, it's going to be tough. We're going to have to start out playing clean, and we're going to have to play what I call with kind of the type of aggression and hunger that, to be frank, I didn't really see glimpses of until Saturday.
Yeah, that says quite a bit, right? And then even Aranda on Monday said we could either be the team of the first half, or that's the team we can be, or we can fight trying to not be the team that, of course, as Craig mentioned and you have expounded on, and letting them off the hook. There's one player that I was going to ask you about that I thought would have much more of an impact on defense. And again, it's a position that doesn't get a lot of tackles, but they can be disruptive. We've mentioned Apu. What are your thoughts? I haven't seen much or heard much from Jackson Player.
Yeah, I haven't either. I know I looked at a couple times, and I saw him. I know he got in the rotation, but I didn't see as much from him. I hadn't heard as much, but I really hadn't focused on him. So I've been a little bit surprised. But whatever they're doing with the rotation, when you have a lot of times it's 3-man down, it's probably hard to get him in. I think we got. Oh man, I can't believe he got hurt this week. Our defensive end that got
Cole
hurt.
Maxwell. Right?
Cole Maxwell came back and he went back out. So I'm thinking we may see him a little bit more. But you're right. I mean, I just haven't seen much from him, and I couldn't really expound on why not.
Thank you, JJ, as always, man. Have a great broadcast in Lubbock. Thanks for your time.
Take care. You guys have fun.
JJ Joe, Baylor color analyst on Baylor Radio, also former Baylor quarterback. Jackson Player has 3 tackles for losses. He has a half a sack, and that was in the game against Albany. Half of his TFLs also came in that game. There's just a little bit, like his best game was Oklahoma State. 4 tackles, a half a TFL, almost. I think he may got a sack in that game as well. So, boy, they need to see him. They need that. They need a pass rush, and I thought that was going to be something he could bring from up the gut. This is 365 Sports. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans, Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne. I've already done the other one.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Don Humidor and Coffee Beans with Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco with a 48-foot walk-in humidor. Loaded up with every good brand of cigar, great brand of cigar, elite brand of cigars you'd ever want, including the 1964 Padron, which is the #1 rated cigar around the world. They have that. They have other Padron. They have Cohiba. They have CAO, Romeo and Julieta, Aston, Rocky Patel. I mean, one of the cool ones that's got a little sweet flavor to it is La Fontana. There's the torpedo type edge, or there's the Churchill length. They have CBD. If you struggle at night to fall asleep, they have CBD products, gummies to help you do that, and also, of course, fresh coffee beans. Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne in the Townwest Shopping Center, Don Humidor, right there, just off of Valley Mills in Waco.
During Jeep Adventure Days, Allen Samuels in Waco is celebrating with an incredible lineup of 2022 models like the Grand Cherokee L, Renegade, Wrangler, and the Wrangler 4xe. These vehicles bring power to plow through any obstacles or the smooth, peaceful ride you'd expect from a Jeep. Jeep SUVs are also known for their design and technology. The Grand Cherokee L even brings you extended seating with a 3rd row. Come see what Allen Samuels can offer you and your family and find the Jeep SUV that fits your lifestyle.
Hi, this is Paul Catalina. I recently got engaged to the love of my life, but the most important thing that I had to do before I popped the question was get that perfect ring. And I know nothing about rings. So I went to the wedding ring store, Boozer's Jewelers on Valley Mills Drive. I knew I needed a custom design, and that's exactly what they do. 9 out of 10 of their engagement rings are designed in-house. The entire process took less than a month, and they were great every step of the way. Great options on financing, excellent selection, and talented designers. My fiance and I get nonstop compliments on the ring. I only deserve credit for doing the smartest thing I could, walking into Boozer's and letting them work their magic. Your one-of-a-kind fiance deserves a one-of-a-kind ring, and that's what you get at Boozer's. Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store on Valley Mills Drive.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit Marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses. When it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why we take the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott in Conroe at 936-756-7717. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with NFL Hall of Fame columnist John McClain. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943. Read John's work at GallerySports.com and SportsRadio610.com.
John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist, joins us every Tuesday at 5:30 or so, and he does again today on 365 Sports. And we're going to do everything we can, Paul and Craig, to avoid the Astros, right? We're not going to talk about them in the World Series.
I mean, we should. John's very excited.
No, John's right in the middle of it. John, 4 times in 6 years, they annihilated the Yankees. What's it like in Houston right now?
It's a frenzy. One reason is the Rockets and the Texans are so bad. They both have 1 victory. The Astros won the same number of games in New York when they annihilated the Yankees. One of the things they're trying to avoid is an upset like last year when they lost to Atlanta in 6 games. They were favored here over the Nationals in 19. They had Verlander and Cole, 2 20-game winners, and they lost every game at home. It was the first World Series in which both teams lost all their home games. Unfortunately, the Astros had home field advantage, and they won't ever come out and say this, but they want to win a World Series that is not tainted, and people can't say they cheated. And even though there's only 5 players still here, they still get that. They haven't been to the bank in Philadelphia, one of the places they haven't played since the scandal. So their fans are planning all these things about trash can banging, and that's so old it's got moss on it. They've been through that. They get terrible receptions at Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium, and yet they continue to win primarily because they have a great pitching staff to the deep. Jose Urquidy, one of their regular starters, is 3-0 in the World Series. He hadn't pitched an inning because they just can't find a way to get him in. Ryan Stanek, who had a 1.13 ERA, the lowest in baseball. He's pitched 2 innings in the 7 games. That's because they got really good relievers. They haven't been banged around. To do what they did against the Yankees with Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, and Kyle Tucker hitting a 184 combined, it's amazing. It's amazing how they could be if those guys all started to hit at the same time.
John, they're also maybe better than anybody else in talent development of their own guys coming up through the system and being not only good players, but, I mean, so far, like, if you look at their lineup, all the guys that came up through are studs. I mean, super studs.
I heard on MLB radio a couple of months ago, a couple of general managers talking about teams do everything they can to get good pitching. The Astros have 7 starters, and the only one they didn't develop is Justin Verlander. 6 guys have come up through the system. Most of their bullpen. If you look at the lineup, Jose Altuve and Jeremy Pena, Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Chas McCormick, those guys came up through the system. And it's been different general managers, different personnel directors. They just lost their assistant GM to the Giants, the BGM. James Click, the current GM for the last 3 years, he and Dusty Baker are in the last year of their contracts. And the owner, Jim Crane, said he'll address that after the season. And Dusty said he wants to be back, so we believe he will. But there are stories out there that Click and Crane have different philosophies, and it'd be hard to not bring a guy back after he went to the World Series. I don't know why you would tinker with anything. And the big personnel decision is Justin Verlander. When he hit 130 innings, he could opt out of his contract. He made $65 million the last 2 years while he was recovering from Tommy John surgery. This year he made 25. If indeed he's 39, so he'll be 40 next season. He says he wants to pitch till they tear the jersey off of him. So if he wants, say, 2 years and an option, I don't think Crane will give it to him. If he wants Max Scherzer money, $43 million a year, I don't think Crane will give it to him. He would have 6 other pitchers if he left, but how many Cy Young Award winners would be leaving a franchise? And would somebody give a 40-year-old pitcher a multi-year deal no matter how good he was that season?
John, what did you think of Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers?
I thought if he stays healthy, it's a great deal, but he's been hurt the last 2 years. Craig, he's 205 pounds. He took a beating at Stanford. He's a great runner, receiver, returner. Then he gets here. He plays great. He gets his big contract. Then he starts getting hurt. So if they've got a healthy Christian McCaffrey, it's going to be a great move. Unfortunately, he can't play quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo is not playing very well. That division is terrible with Seattle being on top. So they could still win it. But, and then it's amazing. The Panthers, they fire Matt Rule. They trade McCaffrey. Sam Darnold's out. Baker Mayfield's out. They go P.J. Walker, who was the Houston Roughnecks XFL quarterback, and he beats Tom Brady. That's just amazing.
Well, that leads me to this one. What the hell's wrong with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers and also Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers?
According to Brady, the Packers make mistakes on about 20% of their plays. And he said, guys keep making these mistakes, shouldn't be playing. Well, who are you going to play? They left him with a bunch of young receivers. They didn't get a veteran to replace Devontae Adams. And those guys have dropped a lot of passes. I think I saw 10 in the last 2 games. He's got to be very frustrated. And as far as Brady, people acted like it wasn't a big deal. You lose your center and your left guard and your right guard. Obviously it is. The defense played great that first game against the Cowboys, and they haven't played anywhere near that. And then Brady's got the distraction of a divorce that's going to be so contentious. Giselle got the most high-powered divorce attorney in Florida. That could be ugly, create a distraction for him. I'm guessing he's gone after the season. And the Bucs are going to be one of those teams that need a quarterback because Kyle Trask is, so far, they haven't thought much of him. And there's going to be a lot of teams in market for quarterbacks. Going to be a very good draft for quarterbacks, starting with Detroit needs one, Houston needs one, Carolina, Tampa Bay, and Denver does, but then you get one because they don't have picks. Plus, Russell Wilson's contract hamstrings them for at least 2 years. But it is amazing. Like that game last night with the Bears, the Texans should have beaten the Bears at Soldier Field and blew it at the end. Justin Fields was awful. And then last night looked like a different quarterback against a coach who does a great job of taking out one player, of targeting one player all week in preparation. I guess he targeted wide receiver Darnell Mooney because he didn't target Philippe Herbert and he didn't target Justin Fields because Fields embarrassed them.
Johnny, Brady said, though, he's like, retirement's not in my future. Do you think that's just today talk?
You know, if he stayed retired, would he be going through a divorce? If you're going to go through a divorce, it's got to be much deeper than retirement. And, you know, what if he wants to come back at 46 and they don't want him back? So that could create some issues. But right now, he doesn't seem like he's totally dedicated to the game, which is one of the strengths of his performance through the last 2 decades, is his total dedication. And right now, it doesn't look like he is. It looks like he's got 1 foot out the door.
Nashville's going to build a stadium for the Titans. Your thoughts that they'll get a Super Bowl? I thought Nashville would always be a great town to host a Super Bowl, but your thoughts about what they're doing in Tennessee?
Well, they're going to build a dome. They say it's too expensive to put a retractable roof. Well, hell, if it's going to cost you right now $2.2 billion, that means by the time it's done, it'll be $4.4 billion. You might as well put a retractable roof on it. But they want to host a Super Bowl there. And Nashville is still a small city. It's growing. Hotels pop up all the time, but the traffic is like Austin, a city that's grown and is fabulous, and people move there, but they haven't kept up the roads. And the roads in Austin are better than the roads in Nashville. But I'm happy for them to get it. That's great for them. More power to them. They're winning. They'll run away with this division because Jaguars and the Texans are bad, and the Colts are going to be bad because they've cast their lot with Sam Erlinger because they don't want to risk paying Matt Ryan an extra $17 million next year against skill and injury. So he's not going to play because they don't want to risk him getting hurt.
Mattress Mac, we've discussed him before on this show. He's the business owner in Houston that's worth whatever he wants to be, makes massive bets. I think $75 million now on a squeeze play for the Astros and Phillies. Is he just an absolute rock star in the city of Houston?
Oh, my God. Read the story on the front page of ESPN right now. David Fleming came here, spent a couple of days, a week before. Forbes was here, a week before that, Bleacher Report. I told Mac, who's my boss at Gallery Sports, that 60 Minutes ought to be next. I can't believe 60 Minutes had jumped on the bandwagon. He bet $10 million on the Astros, and he's got a chance to win $75 million if they win the World Series. But he's not going to lose anything because he sells furniture. He's the best salesman I've ever seen, and he says that if you come buy $4,000 worth of furniture, Astros win, you get it free. Well, if the Astros win, then he's got $75 million to cover it. If the Astros lose, then he gets to keep all their money, which is over $10 million too. So he can't lose, and he's a great story, great guy to work for.
Yep.
You know, I wasn't planning on doing any more writing, and he met with me in May. Said, I want to start a website, and I want you to be my columnist, and we got a chance to make a lot of money. I said, you already got a lot of money. He said, you never have enough. He said in ESPN, I like chaos, and he does. He's so revered here. It's just unbelievable.
John, I think you probably know Adam Winkler, who works at ABC 13 there. Used to be here, very close friend of mine. He got a free dining room set because of a Mattress Mac promotion.
Anytime he's on TV and radio constantly with his commercials. And he says, do this. If it happens, you get it free. He's got 99 trucks because they promise you buy it during the day. You get the delivery at night. And I told him when we do this website, there's no paywall, and he needs to do commercials where he says, visit gallerysports.com. It's free, because the Chronicle has a paywall. But there's a lot of people that have furniture from Gallery, which he moved here from Dallas in 81 with 3 employees and started with nothing. And now he's built it into Forbes story in May said he's worth $246 million. ESPN says $300 million. Well, if they win, then he's going to be worth, I think he said after the furniture, if the Astros win, he'll walk away with only $9 million.
Only $9 million. He's also the one that opened up his entire store, and I guess the area in the back, the warehouse to those when Katrina hit. Is that right?
Katrina, and again with Harvey, he lets people come in and just go get on his furniture. And I told him, I said, how in the world do you get rid of that after people come in here? He said, we have a Harvey sale or a Katrina sale, and we sell out. He said, I kind of think people feel like it's something they can do to help. And the guy's a genius. Check out the story on ESPN.com because they do a tremendous job about his life and how all this works out. And when he walks through the stadium, never has security. He always wears an Astros jersey. Fans won't let him go anywhere. It takes him an hour to get to one of his suites or one of his seats. I went to an event for the DePelton's Children's Center here 2 Saturdays ago. It was about 15 Hall of Famers went with 100 local high school athletes helping these kids for a day. And I asked Mac to come out. He gets there late. The kids have given all of us polite applause. He starts walking up. They start cheering, and they run over, surround him, wanting pictures with him. Mattress Mac.
Thank you, John. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. Second.
That's John McClain. Again, GallerySports.com, Sports 10, Sports Radio 610 in Houston, with us almost every Tuesday on many things, and of course, a huge Baylor fan as he ends it every time with Sikkim. Deneric Prince was named the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award National Player of the Week. Young man from Tulsa went off in a game for 231 yards, 20 carries in a 27-16 win at Temple on Friday night. Scored a couple of touchdowns to lead Tulsa, including also a receiving touchdown along with those 2, 1 on the ground, 1 in the air. He had himself a game, and Tulsa wins on the road, and he is named the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award National Player of the Week. This is 365 Sports.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
We are running early today, which is something that never happens on this show. So I want to let's revel in it for a minute, because we're here at the finish line and we've done it. I'm proud of all of us.
Well, let's put it this way: if the signal got cut off at 6 o'clock, we would probably never be
exactly.
able to do this
so
show.
We're running a little early today, so I was happy. But top 5 coordinators on the rise. These are guys who I don't know if they'll be head coaches again soon. One of them, I think, for sure. But a few of them might get at least huge raises to keep them from going other places. Number 5, the guy Baylor will see this week, Zach Kittley, offensive coordinator at Texas Tech. One of the other things that's helping Zach Kittley out immensely is not only that no matter who Tech plays at quarterback, and I know Donovan Smith had some turnover problems, but they seem to still move the ball. And that offense works no matter who's playing in it. Yes, Donovan Smith has made some mistakes, but they've also won games with him in there. They've won games going to their third quarterback in Baron Morton, who's their quarterback of the future. And it's just working. He's a star on the rise. And also, Bailey Zappi is in the NFL right now for the Patriots, creating a quarterback controversy with a guy who was a first-round pick and a national champion a year ago.
At Alabama.
At Alabama,
Yeah, the graphic, I don't know if Tech sent one out. I didn't go and look, but well-timed if it was, after the first half, probably not so much after the second half. But, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a recruiting tool that you can use, and deservedly so. They put up some monster numbers together at HBU and also then obviously at Western Kentucky last year with Jarrett Stearns and company. But, yeah, there's no doubt he's one of the, the up-and-coming guys, like you said. Had a connection to Tech that, pushed him further in that direction of heading over to Lubbock, and just obviously a step up going from Western Kentucky to the Big 12. But, yeah, I mean, here's the thing about their offense is they've been able to do it with 3 quarterbacks, like you said. They've been able to do it without, a really superb running game. But they throw it 60-plus times a game probably, and they never punt on fourth down, basically. They don't like to give the ball over unless it's because they're kicking back to you. They're going to go for it on fourth down probably 7 of 10 times at least on Saturday. And that, if you're that effective, like they've been doing it, like it's one thing to do it and you're not effective, but when you're that effective in doing it as they have been, you stay on the field, you keep moving the ball, and you're going to score more. And that's what they do.
I think Joey's only going to punt if they're behind the 30.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're behind the 30, he'll punt. If they're between the 35 and 45, he might think about it depending on the game situation, but he's probably going for it.
Analytics has really changed a lot of this stuff up. Baylor with what Aranda does, they go for it. I mean, sometimes inside their own 30. But, he initially he wanted to go to Aggieland Christian, Kitley did, to play college basketball. Eventually pursued Texas Tech to go coach football and transferred there. And you know what? Sonny Cumbie. He was a student assistant to Sonny Cumbie. Well, of course, there we go. Of course, Cliff Kingsbury. And there's that cycle, or there's that networking.
The networking is actually, I believe, his father's a track coach. Isn't that right?
Yes, at Texas Tech.
that's
Hall
the
of Fame
connection.
type coach.
Yeah, is like the national championship winning track coach is the main connection. Wes Kitley, I believe, is his father's name. But yeah, then there's other stuff too. But no, that's home. That's why he wanted to get back to Texas Tech.
Number 4, Alex Atkins at Florida State. This one on there because Florida State's offense is productive for the first time ever. Jordan Travis is a really fantastic player and really fun to watch. And something to note, Will Healy just got fired at Charlotte, correct?
Yes.
His offensive coordinator in 2019, Charlotte's best season ever, was Alex Atkins. So he will be looked at. I'm sure Florida State will make him a competitive offer to stay because he's doing a great job with the offensive line and the offense there. But Alex Atkins is a name to watch on the rise. If not for Charlotte, and maybe even an ACC job in a year or so, he is on the rise for sure.
He was at Charlotte as the offensive coordinator, offensive line coach for a year and 19 before going to Florida State. Yep.
Best year they've ever had at Charlotte was in 2019, and then he left, and what has happened since then. So I would not be surprised to hear his agent's phone ringing on that gig if he wants it.
You don't think his agent's also ringing other phones?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, who? Not getting the open big jobs right now. I know we're close to that. Charlotte's more up his alley. So, yeah, I think there's probably, if you look at the way coaching hires are going, there's only so many places for someone like Alex Atkins to go.
Yeah.
Where else is he going to go right now? Everybody's hiring big-name coaches or the guy who's already the incumbent or what have you. Nobody's hiring the Charlotte O-line coach to come be their brand-new head coach. So it's hard for, I think, guys like him that the market's kind of turned. Like there's fewer gambles on unproven, long track record, type of guys.
Which is why I could see him staying at FSU in the ACC and doing Power 5 for a little bit longer.
That's the problem. That's what everybody's doing.
Yeah. And then
they're getting paid better.
Yeah. And then you go, say Dave Clawson gets a job and leaves Wake Forest in a couple years. Then that's the job that maybe Alex Atkins goes to,
Yeah. I guess the most succinct way to say what I'm saying is like now you have your Alabama's OC. Typically you would go take that head coaching job somewhere, pretty much like not any job, but pretty much just a job. Now guys are like, if it's not Georgia, I'm not leaving Alabama because I'm making $10 million here already. Like that's what it's turned into. But yeah, I mean, that Charlotte would make a ton of sense. And I'll be very curious to see their pool of candidates because that is actually one of those jobs that there's not like that, like if you want to go be a head coach, there's an opportunity for you, but and he would seem up that alley.
Yeah. Number 3, Garrett Riley at TCU. I think TCU is going to maybe have to keep and this would be a huge if Texas A&M head coach decides to hire an offensive coordinator, this might be the guy I would think he might go get because this is a hot name.
You said if he decides to hire,
if
he listens to what he's being told to do.
Yeah, but he doesn't ever necessarily have to. But there's going to be TCU's going to have to give him a raise because their offense has been fantastic, and he and Sonny Dykes really work well together. And of course, we all know who his brother is, but that really has nothing to do with anything other than just good football
similar
minds.
Looks to him, yeah.
They're just good football minds in that family. But Garrett Riley, very much on the come up.
He's an SFA player. You know that? He went to Texas Tech and then transferred to play for a year at SFA. I didn't know that.
Yeah. But I think the job he and Sonny Dykes have done with Max Duggan is out of this world, especially considering that Max Duggan wasn't even supposed to start, and now he's I would say a dark horse Heisman candidate, but a Heisman candidate nonetheless.
You know who the wide receivers coach is at TCU?
Malcolm Kelly.
Malcolm Kelly, who, of course, Quentin Johnston last week said had an incredible impact on him. And I wonder what his ladder, I'm not talking about as a head coach. He's a great recruiter, obviously, played at Oklahoma. And I want to see eventually what happens with him. He's in a pretty damn good place right now.
Yeah. I want to know how much A&M would have to offer for him to consider it, because that's not just a slam dunk for them anymore.
No.
Especially not with Jimbo's offensive background. It's like, how much control would you even really give up? But I guess my that's enough of an obstacle that it would make you pause. Sonny Dykes is an offensive mind too, but clearly they're on the same page together and it works really well. Jimbo, I had no idea. But the thing of it now is, like, forget Jimbo. Let's say he's a defensive coordinator in his history and not as much of an offensive guy. What kind of money are we talking to pull him from the situation in Fort Worth that he has right now?
Well, I don't know what he's making there. That'd be a good – I'll find that out. Let's say it's what?
I'm just saying that's not a money whip slam dunk.
Yeah.
Like you maybe thought it was a couple years ago for just about anybody that they wanted to go get. Well, we'll just go get the top coordinator. I think that the current environment – maybe gives you a little bit more pause rather than just chasing money and chasing the SEC job. You know what I mean? And so that's I'll be curious to see kind of how they navigate that.
And the other thing about Jimbo's offensive staff is, like, he's moved Darryl Dickey from offensive coordinator, but not play caller, to another position. James Coley's come back in and been the co-OC, and Damian Craig's had 3 different jobs in that offense. I don't know if you're on the outside looking in, and those are all guys who are Jimbo guys, but, you know, if you want to jump into that.
Garrett Riley, he's probably not getting a lot. Maybe he got a nice chunk from SMU to TCU along with what Dykes wanted, but I just put up a story on Google, and it was in that, a couple 100,000 range. He was Appalachian State, I think, for a little bit. Yep, made about 220,000. So I got a feeling they could money whip him.
Okay.
But TCU, again, is it worth doing that to go to A&M?
That's my point.
Yeah.
It's like, what are they going to do? Give you $2 million to just come to college? Okay, well, let me potentially do that. But if TCU's offering me 1.7, I might as well just stay in. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing.
He's not a young guy. He might be someone, like you were talking about, is on this list because of an opportunity to come.
Yeah. Number 2, Ryan Walters, the defensive coordinator at Illinois. Illinois, they are shutting people down on defense. They have a fantastic defense. Granted, they're in the Big Ten, and that's not a huge offensive conference, but even still, it needs to be noticed. So this is a guy, Brett Bielema, and what they've done in a short time there in Illinois is really fantastic for a school that's really an afterthought when it comes to the Big Ten. But but Ryan Walters at Illinois, he's also climbing up the charts.
Yeah, I don't know what jobs other than, like, the obvious, like, close by Big Ten. Like, I know Nebraska's a name I've heard him, attached to. I don't know if that would be big enough for them. I don't know. I haven't followed Ryan Walters and all of that. I do know he's been
what Nebraska money whip him to be the DC at Nebraska under the next head coach.
I think they'll do anything they can at the moment. I think that they don't quite suffer from the A&M sickness just yet of, like, you've done that now like 4 or 5 times, and it's clearly there's something amiss there. But yeah, I mean, he's a name that's getting a lot of love, and deservedly so, because the Illini are having a fantastic year, especially defensively. Curious to learn more about him along the way, because I'm seeing scuttlebutt popping up, and here he is at number 2, and that's certainly one of those names you see getting kicked around that maybe a lot of people are still, a lot to learn about.
Yeah. And number 1, Kenny Dillingham at Oregon. Bo Nix was a roller coaster at Auburn, an absolute ridiculous roller coaster.
A turnover machine,
but also, you know what? Down 6, 1 minute left. You need to complete 4 long passes. Somehow he can do it.
Yeah.
And Kenny Dillingham and Oregon have channeled that into an offensive juggernaut that they have right now in Eugene. And this guy's going to get a head coaching job this year or next year because of what he's done with Bo Nix, for sure.
His quarterback rating this year is 165.9. Bo Nix. He's thrown 3 picks. He threw 3 last year, but he's thrown 6 more touchdowns, and he still has not quite, but almost half the season left.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. Bo Nix has been great, and Oregon's offense is nasty. They were able to basically do whatever they wanted to against UCLA. UCLA had no stops in them last Saturday, and that was not a final score that was really indicative kind of how that game felt at times. But yeah, they've done a great job. Bo Nix is no longer kind of the I guess, a punchline like he was at Auburn on so many occasions. And really kind of still was up until last week, really. I feel like people were still getting their jabs in over, well, if Bo Nix doesn't, and now you watch that game on Saturday, you can't help but just sit there and give the guy his props. So, yeah, Kenny Dillingham deserves a ton of credit for that. And just the Oregon offense continuing to be lethal and one of the best in the country, even though they've had a lot of turnover at that school in the last few years, if you really think about it. I mean, Willie Taggart was once the head coach at Oregon not that long ago, dude. Mario Cristobal was head coach up until they've had some crazy turnover, but he's definitely one of the younger names. I just saw, I Googled what was the guy right before Illinois defensive coordinator Walters. Saw in a quick Google after we wrapped him up that Colorado was a name that people are wanting to attach him to. So there you go. There's another school that you could potentially look at. But, yeah, Dillingham's definitely a guy on the come up.
A Jay Norvell type network. He was there with Memphis with Norvell. He was at Florida State, which and so – all right, Paul, very interesting. That's a unique list of those up and coming. We'll see where we are in about a month or two of who among those 5 might be getting an opportunity somewhere down the road. Thanks to Garrett Ross, also Emery Winter, Jacob Wilson. Jack is out. Hopefully Jack feels better tomorrow. Levi, wherever you are. Thank you, Levi Caraway. Paul, Catalina, Craig Smoak. Thanks again to all of our incredible sponsors. The chat room. All of you, remember, it's like game film. It's evidence. Whatever trash you're talking, we'll get you at some point. Also, Sports Tonight at 10:30 on the CW channel. I'm David Smoak. Thank you. Good night on 365 Sports.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas.